Every single time, every single crime, every single lie, early life. Every single hour, every single day, every single night, early life. I know it's hard to believe it's the whole forest, not one tree, and it's every branch and leaf. They're born to deceive, but I'm telling you the truth. It's not just one or two, it's every single Jew. They all hate you, and it really breaks my heart. But their lies are off the charts, and they only bring us harm. You gotta get smart. So if you want to be safe and don't want to get replaced, it's best you start being based, or you'll get erased. Every single time, every single crime, every single lie, early life. Every single hour, every single day, every single night, early life. I know it's hard to accept that all the ones you've met lie with every single breath. They want you dead, but you must not be weak. Just open your eyes and see they always exploit the meek. See their vampire teeth, and it can make you cry to learn your life was full of lies and their face was a disguise. But you must fight. So if you want to live and protect all of your kin, you have to grow thick skin, or we want every single time, every single crime, every single lie, early life. Every single hour, every single day, every single night, early life.
And we are live. What's up, guys? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. The day is Wednesday, June 18th, as my fucking camera doesn't work here. Give me 1 sec, guys. I don't know why this thing is acting crazy. All right, there we go. We're back in the house, guys. What's up? I apologize, guys, that we are late. Sorry about that. I'll be honest with you, I'm not feeling too great. But the show goes on anyway. And I'm going to make it up to you guys. We're going to have a fire banger show tomorrow. We're going to go super long. We'll do like maybe a subathon or some shit like that tomorrow. So, you know, I'm definitely going to make up for it for you guys. But I had to show up today, regardless of how I feel. Also, Bill's had to do some things and update the stream. As you guys know, I use a lot of software on this on these streams. So basically he was hooking some stuff up for me and getting things done. So, you know, had to do some maintenance, as you guys know. Some of you guys that were tuning into the stream yesterday, you guys saw Bill's helped me out with that stuff. So he finalized some of the things. We have been saying we're going to do this shit for a while. So I was like, you know what, dude, go ahead and do it. I'm going to take a little bit longer. And he was able to knock it out. Shout out to Bill's. And here we are now, man. So we are here now. We're going to be covering, obviously, the conflict, you know, and, you know, I'm kind of going to give you guys my take on what's going on here. Because there's been a lot of developments, a lot of things going on, right? A lot. And I think, guys, it's very important that we kind of just face reality here. The title of the video is the U.S. will join Israel's war against Iran. Here's why. Now, before I kind of go into this and explain it, let me go ahead, smash that like button, guys. Okay, we already got a lot of you guys here. I can see a lot of you guys in the chat are mad at me being late, which I completely understand. But that's also a good sign, because that means that you guys really like the show. So that's a good thing. It's a good and bad. I guess it's a good barometer that, like, damn, why is this nigga not on? It's 5 o'clock. Ah! So I could finally say that I am a drug dealer. And I am the drug, and I'm prescribing it to you guys. So you guys want the content, which is good. So I can see a lot of you niggas complaining. See, I can see this guy Denzel in the kick chat already crying. Bro, look, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So that's kind of where we are. Let's see here. Let me look. So, okay, Ted Cruz got cooked on Tucker's interview. Join OSS for a year. Thank you so much, Pac. Love you, bro. The Crusade says, it's my birthday, and I just want to say love you, bro, and everything you stand for. Aware. I appreciate that, Crusades, and I'm glad that you're aware, and I'm glad that I'm helping you guys be aware. Nigga, how... man. The only reason I don't use that song, guys, is because copyright by Ye. Drewski, did you hear about the colonel who was removed from his position for calling Israel a death cult? I wouldn't be surprised. Ryan Trober says, yo, Myron, you completely nocturnal at this point? Yeah, bro, pretty much. Reporters want to talk about Iran. Your boy wanted to talk about flagpoles. Yeah, I'm not surprised, bro. I'm not surprised. So, what else here? And guys, as you guys know, join the OSS. That's how we fight back against censorship. We already got, what, 100 plus you guys watching on Castle Club and on the OSS. You guys can see we got 74 watching on the OSS. You guys are watching on Rumble, YouTube, Kick. We're on all the different platforms. So regardless of where you choose to watch, you know, smash that like button. And like I said before, guys, I appreciate you guys all being here. And like I said before, also, I wasn't feeling too good, but showing up anyway. Can't cancel the show. The show still goes on, baby. Still goes on. And we still got after hours tonight as well. I don't know if I'm going to do the after hours. We got 2 special guests for that. Organic and Zerka are going to be here. I think it'd be more funnier if Fresh or Zerka and Organic just did the after hours. I'll just sit back and watch. But tomorrow, guys, I'll tell y'all this. Tomorrow, I'm absolutely going to give you guys a banger stream. I'm going to be on at 5 o'clock sharp, and we're going to go fucking super long. All right? So, yeah. Someone said the mic is low. All right. OSS, guys, how's the mic? These niggas on YouTube are might be trolling, so I'm going to trust OSS. OSS, how's the mic? Give me O/ if it's good. I'm looking at the OSS chat and Castle Club. OSS and Castle Club, how's the mic? Yeah, somebody is saying mic is low. All right, I'll turn it up a little bit for you niggas, even though people are saying that you're fucking you're trolling, bro. But I'll go ahead and turn it up for you anyway. Give me 1 second. I'm turning it up. All right, I turned it up a hair, so that should fix it. So let's see here. All right, so before I join any Twitter spaces or whatever, let's just kind of get this out the way because I wanted to talk about this. And from what I've seen, I think we're kind of getting into the situation. Bro, we thought the Yiddler got you. Don't scare us being 3 hours late, but for real, everyone is getting sick right now, COVID version 2017. Yeah, dude, I've just been grinding so hard the past couple weeks, so I just got really tired, but I said, fuck it, I'm still going to get on stream, regardless of me feeling like shit. Boogeyman says, oh, good, Myron, alone. Anyone crying about you being late has too much time on their hands. We need you for the long run, brother. I appreciate it, bro. And like I said, tomorrow I'm going to give you guys a banger. I'm going to be on super long tomorrow, so don't worry. Y'all are going to get everything that you guys want, regardless. Let me make sure that the mics are... all right, sweet. All right. So... now... I'm going to show you guys something real quick. So before I go into this, right, and talk about this, I think what's really important for you guys to understand is that this has been the writing on the wall for a very long time, okay? And if we want to go ahead and have a start date on this has been going on since 1996, all right? As you guys can see here, I got a document. It's called the Clean Break Memo, okay? This is famously known as the Clean Break Memo. And in this memo, a new strategy for securing the realm, commonly known as a Clean Break Report, is a policy document that was prepared in 1996 by a study group led by Richard Perot, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the Prime Minister of Israel. The report explained a new approach to solving Israel's security problems in the Middle East with an emphasis on Western values. It has since been criticized for advocating an aggressive new policy, including the removal of Saddam Hussein from power in Iraq and the containment of Syria by engaging in proxy warfare and highlighting its possession of weapons of mass destruction. Certain parts of the policy set forth in the paper were rejected by Netanyahu, right? And in this paper, guys, right, which, by the way, all these people are them boys, FYI, that are, saying that we should do X, Y, Z with destabilizing shit, right? Oh, hold on. Right? So, in this paper, several countries are mentioned, okay? Pretty much the entire Middle East. Every single Middle Eastern country that poses a threat to the United States was mentioned. Okay? And I think you guys, to go back to the history here, Israel was created in 1948. It was created through ethnic cleansing, warfare, terrorism, bribery, lies, and violence, right? Prior to the creation of Israel, military groups, paramilitary groups, Irgun, Haganah, Stern Gang, etc., violently attacked villages all across British Mandate Palestine and basically kicked them out. We're talking about 700,000 plus Palestinians were kicked out of their homeland to lead to the creation of Israel. This exile of the indigenous people from that region obviously created great conflict all throughout the Middle East. It united many Arab nations. It united many leaders. It led to Pan-Arabism, right, with Nasser, who was the president of Egypt, who was going to lead this, coalition. And the creation of Israel basically was the beginning of what would later become decades upon decades upon decades of conflict in the Middle East. Now, Israel was successfully able to beat a lot of these Arab armies through many different conflicts. The War of 67, Yom Kippur, etc. The war in 1948, several, the Suez Canal crisis. Well, technically they didn't win that one, but you guys get the point. They were able to sustain with many different military conflicts and or win. It became very apparent early on, especially after the Suez Canal crisis, where they had to run back with their tail between their legs. After the United States and Eisenhower basically admonished them that they needed nuclear capability. The Israelis understood back then that if they didn't have a nuclear bomb, their ability to become, to be able to stay independent and stay from being attacked by the Arab neighbors was going to be a constant issue. Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister of Israel, literally was obsessed with getting the nuclear bomb. He would stop at nothing to get the nuclear bomb because he realized how important it was strategically to keeping the Arab powers from taking over Israel. Remember, guys, they came in and took the land through violent occupation and terrorism. So nobody wanted them there. The only way that they would be able to stay there and exist is by having weaponry that the Arab world did not have. And back then, in the 50s and 40s, nuclear capabilities was a fairly new thing. So if Israel was able to get on the cutting edge and get these weapons, it would secure their ability to exist in a very hostile region of the world that didn't want them there. Okay? And that obsession with the nuclear bomb led them to steal technology from the United States and other countries, to steal the material required, to steal reactors, everything. They did whatever they needed to do to get this bomb. Now, as they were working to get this bomb, a guy named John F. Kennedy figured out that they were doing nuclear testing. Now, for Kennedy, he looked at this as a big no-no. Nuclear proliferation in the Middle East would lead to an arms race. So he brought Ben-Gurion in and told him, hey, man, we know you guys have nuclear weapons or you guys are doing nuclear testing. We need to do inspections. And Ben-Gurion stammered, got mad, didn't want to do it, was challenging Kennedy, saying, hey, why do we not have a right to exist? All this bullshit. And Kennedy basically had to finally take a stern, tone with him and tell him, look, bro, if you don't stop, if you don't allow us to do inspections, our ability to aid you is going to be significantly hindered. Translation, if you don't stop this shit and allow us to inspect your nuclear capabilities, we are going to stop giving you aid. And if we stop giving you aid, you guys will absolutely get overtaken by the Arab world that wants you gone. Now, Ben-Gurion's in a very dangerous spot because in his eyes, he needs the United States' aid because without U.S. aid, they would get overrun by the Arab powers next to them. But at the same time, they need a nuclear bomb because if they don't have the nuclear bomb, the Arab powers are still going to run over them. So what does he do? He resigns. Out of nowhere. Resigns. Just leaves. I'm good, man. Leaves. That buys him enough time, and then all of a sudden, November 22nd, 1963, John F. Kennedy's killed. Dallas, Texas. The facts around the shooting are hazy. Some guy named Oswald apparently shot him as the lone shooter. Some guy named Jack Ruby, a.k.a. Rubenstein, shoots Oswald as he's coming out of the Dallas Police Department after being arrested for allegedly assassinating the president. And right before he's shot, he's saying, I'm the patsy, which means I'm not the guy. I'm just a dude they arrested. He was a CIA asset. So many weird things are going on with the JFK assassination. To this day, no one knows 100% who actually killed John F. Kennedy on that fateful day, right? Officially. I've told you guys who shot him. I've told you guys who shot him. We know that, right? David Ferry and Jack Valenti. I've told y'all this, right? But officially, no one really knows what the fuck happened on that day. Officially. And that's by design. What proceeded after John F. Kennedy's assassination was the beginning of what I call this sworn allegiance to Israel. Because Lyndon B. Johnson came in and undid everything that John F. Kennedy put in place that was restricting Israel. He stopped the nuclear inspections. He stopped putting them on the FARA, Foreign Agent Registration Act, which is what John F. Kennedy's little brother, RFK, tried to do, right? And basically, since the Lyndon B. Johnson administration, we have had an extremely pro-Israel stance since. Lyndon B. Johnson was the beginning of that. The last president to stand up to Israel's bullshit was John F. Kennedy, and he got shot for that. And this is very important for you guys to understand, because later on, right? You gotta move the camera. The reason why this is important is because Israel went on to get the nuclear bomb years later. Okay? They successfully tested it and got the bomb. The thing is, though, is that to this day, they will not acknowledge that they have a nuclear bomb. And the reason for that is because there was a law put in place in the 70s that any country that does uranium enrichment or goes through the process of nuclear proliferation without certain things in place cannot get aid from the United States. Well, guess what? Israel would fall into that category. And if Israel doesn't get aid, well, we discussed this earlier, it's going to be a big deal for them, and they're going to get overrun. They need our assistance and our aid to exist. So they get the nuclear bomb. They stave off some threats. But then, in the 1980s, groups start to pop up. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, the PLO. Well, they came before, but you guys get the point. Different resistance groups start to come into play. We now enter into a new century of warfare, modern type warfare, right? And what ends up happening is you have operations being done, right? Oh, look at this.
Fuck Israel. Fuck Israel. Mine predicted everything. And guess what? If you're against Israel, you go to heaven.
Is there make a quick appearance? So, yeah. No, I'm turning up the mic a little bit. A lot of you niggas got shitty ass fucking headphones. So, what comes into play, and I'm summarizing a lot here for you guys, right? So, we leave this 1960s and go into the 70s and 80s, right? And conflict still happens, but now you start to see the rise. I'm fast forwarding now to the 1980s. You start to see the rise of militia groups, Muslim Arab militia groups, right? Rise up to challenge the violent occupation of the Palestinian people, okay, in the West Bank and in Gaza. And this is when the Intifada begins. This is when Hezbollah is created. This is when Hamas, all this stuff. So Israel, realizing that they really need to do something to protect themselves outside of having the bomb, because nuclear warfare is just out of the question now, right? The nuclear bomb is the last resort. They have that to keep them away. It saved them in 1973 during the Yom Kippur War. But realistically speaking, they know that using the nuclear bomb is an absolute last resort, and they don't want to do it. So what are they going to do? They need to come up with a way to get rid of their enemies without having to resort to their unacknowledged nuclear program. Does that make sense, chat? So this is where this clean break memo comes into play that I told you guys about before. And in this memo, they discuss many things. But one of the things that's important for you guys to understand is that many countries are named. Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, Sudan, Morocco, Algeria, Iraq. All these different Middle Eastern countries, these Arab countries that dislike Israel, they're all mentioned in this paper, and how they need to basically either topple them or get them to make peace agreements with Israel so that Israel can continue to exist. Okay? The name of the paper is literally A Clean Break, a New Strategy for Securing the Realm. 1996. And in the paper, they also talk about a new Pearl Harbor. Well, I think you guys know what that new Pearl Harbor was. You knocked my fucking camera off this guy. I think we know what that new Pearl Harbor is. September 11, 2001. 2 planes crash into the Twin Towers in New York City. The Pentagon is attacked. Another plane crashes into in Pennsylvania, in a rural area of Pennsylvania. 5 Israelis are caught dancing and celebrating in New Jersey. When these Israelis are caught dancing and celebrating and photographing the event, a catastrophe, they're interviewed by the FBI. The FBI does records checks on these individuals. Finds out that 2 of them have ties to Israeli intelligence. Finds out that they work for a moving company. Does a search warrant at the moving company. Finds out that the owner of the moving company is a guy named Dominic Suter. They call Suter and tell him, hey, we need you to come in and have a discussion with us. What does Suter do? He flees he goes back to fucking Israel. They also find out that the movie company that he owns was funded by Israeli intelligence as well. And also, after 9/11, these Israelis that were caught all had plane tickets to leave the U.S. shortly after. So let me get this straight. You guys have a moving company that has lots of computers and a bunch of data, not really needed for a movie company. You're all Israelis, and you guys were all going to leave the country right after 9/11. Well, that's weird. And then these guys were there documenting the event? Well, when you figure out what came next, it all made sense. After 9/11, a war was waged in the greater Middle East, a war on terror, right? Enter in the neoconservative phase of the early 2000s, aka the Bush era. After 9/11 happened, the Patriot Act was signed and the war on terror began. The Patriot Act, for those that are unaware, is an act that basically allows the mass surveillance of both U.S. and foreign nationals for the preservation of national security. Now, this term national security is very ambiguous for obvious reasons. But it gave the U.S. government an enormous amount of unprecedented power to spy, collect information, and conduct operations in the name of stopping and fighting terror. After 9/11, roughly 2 years later, we invaded Iraq. Well, if you go back to the clean break memo that I told you guys about here, okay, the most important thing in this clean break memo was toppling Saddam Hussein. Because Saddam Hussein posed a real threat to Israel with his missile program. And back in 1981, he had a nuclear program that he was trying to start, and Israel bombed the hell out of him in 81. So by 96, they're like, we got to remove this guy. We got to get him out of here. Saddam Hussein in the 1990s is what Iran is today. All the countries that were mentioned in this clean break memo have been toppled. And when it comes to the war in Iraq in 2003, the evidence and the information that was relied upon to justify the war, a lot of it was information that came from the Israelis. Netanyahu famously sat there in 2002 and said that Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. He's working towards a nuclear bomb. We're 100% certain. Our intelligence tells us this. Shortly thereafter, we invaded Iraq. Boots on the ground, 200,000 soldiers. We led with 3 weeks of bombing and then eventually got boots on the ground and went into Iraq. What proceeded after that was probably one of the biggest American foreign policy blunders of our lifetime. We proceeded to topple the regime. We tried to install a democracy. We spent trillions of dollars. 1 million people died, to include U.S. servicemen and innocent Iraqis. And then you find out that they don't even have weapons of mass destruction. And then it gets better. You find out that Saddam and Osama were enemies. A lot of people don't know this, but let me go ahead and give you guys this quick little side tangent here so this makes sense. Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden have been enemies for a very long time. When Saddam invaded Kuwait in the 90s, Osama bin Laden had just wrapped up a war with the Russians in Afghanistan. Osama bin Laden is the son of an extremely wealthy construction tycoon out of Saudi Arabia. Family are billionaires. Everything that you see in Saudi Arabia was pretty much built by the bin Ladens. A lot of people don't know that. He has an engineering degree, very smart, very wealthy. So when the Russians, the Soviets, invaded Afghanistan, he went over there to fight. They created the Mujahideen. As they were fighting and keeping the Russians away, they were backed by who? The United States of America, the CIA. Because obviously, we're in the middle of the Cold War. We don't like the Russians. These rebels in Afghanistan want to fight. Let's go ahead and back them. This guy, Osama bin Laden, he has resources, he has money, but let's go ahead and get him fighters, let's get him training, let's get him weapons, let's support their mission. And guess what? Osama wins. They beat the Russians. Huge victory. So after they push off the Russians in Afghanistan, he comes back to Saudi Arabia and says, yo, I just beat the Soviets. My fighters are Muslims. We can stop Saddam Hussein's push into Kuwait, because when Saddam went into Kuwait, it jeopardized the security of Saudi Arabia. The royal family told Saddam, Osama, hey Osama, with all due respect, no thank you. We have U.S. protection. The United States is going to take care of this. Osama became furious. He said, how dare you bring in infidels, non-Muslims, to protect Muslim land? This is unacceptable. We won the war. Let us defend Saudi Arabia. Let us fight Saddam Hussein. They said no. This infuriated Osama. Very religious guy. He didn't want Americans fighting on behalf of a Muslim country or being in Muslim land. So what did he do? He started to criticize the Saudi Arabian government. Well, we all know what happens when you criticize the Saudi Arabian government. They don't do too well with that. There's no free speech over there. So what did they do? They ostracized him and kicked him out of Saudi Arabia, sent his ass to Sudan. He's a Sudan in the 90s. Building up, etc. And then eventually, that's when he becomes radicalized and creates Al-Qaeda and starts attacking the United States. But I tell you guys this to let you guys know that when Bush says, oh, we need to go into Iraq and stop Saddam Hussein and fight the war on terror, that couldn't be further from the truth. Anyone that understands the truth about Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden knows that they hated each other. So why the fuck were we in Iraq and the war on terror when Saddam had nothing to do with 9/11? Nothing to do with 9/11. I think we all know why. Because Iraq was the chief antagonist for Israel at the time. And the clean break memo said that they need a new Pearl Harbor to do what they want to do. And 9/11 was that Pearl Harbor. Once they got that Pearl Harbor, they directed the retaliation of the United States to where they wanted it. And they wanted it going right to Saddam Hussein, their biggest threat at the time. This is very important that you guys understand this. Because once you know this and you realize that Osama bin Laden not being friendly with Saddam Hussein, everything starts to make sense. Everything starts to make sense why the war in Iraq didn't make sense. Does that make sense, guys? It's a little tongue twister there. Now, of course, we didn't find this out until 20 years later. The hindsight didn't come until later on. But back then in 2003, when people were angry about 9/11, people were angry about the Middle East, people wanted revenge, Bush, Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice, Benjamin Netanyahu, Wolfowitz, Pearl, all these fucking neocons, they used that anger of the American public and they directed it right at fucking Saddam Hussein to finish the job. Despite the fact he had nothing to do with 9/11. And what proceeded after the toppling of Saddam Hussein was the destabilization all across the Middle East. Saddam Hussein was toppled in 2003. Muammar Gaddafi sees them get toppled. He says, okay, you know what? I'm going to give up my nuclear program. Gives up his nuclear program. We continue to bomb and attack Hezbollah. We destroy the Houthis. Egypt and Jordan basically cuck. Okay, we'll be friends with the Israelis. We pay the money to be nice. Abraham Accords happens. The Arab world starts to recognize Israel slowly but surely. There's only one country left on the list that isn't being either destroyed or bribed. That country, my friends, is Iran.
Welcome, punch!
Throughout all of these conflicts, Iran was watching as the United States did Israel's work for them by either bribing or destroying all of their adversaries. And the U.S. backing allowed Israel to behave in unprecedented ways of aggression, given the size of their country and the strength of their military. Israel's conducting clandestine operations all across the world. They're assassinating scientists, assassinating generals. They're doing airstrikes. They're doing false flags. They're constantly conducting operations that are a declaration of war. But the reason why Israel doesn't deal with accountability is because of their powerful lobby in the United States. Israel behaves in a reckless way all across the Middle East, starting conflicts because they know that no one is really going to hit them back for fear of being attacked by the United States. Remember, guys, the Arab world, the Muslim world has seen the United States topple a regime. That's very scary to Arab leaders. And I think I need to go into a little bit more detail here. The reason why that's terrifying to Arab leaders, guys, is because Arab leaders 9 out of 10 times are either monarchs or dictators. And a lot of times they got into that power by overthrowing their predecessor. So regime change or being toppled is at the top of their list of fears. And this is why Arabs lose so many wars. Arabs prioritize loyalty within their command structure over competence. I'm going to say that again. The Arab world, many of the Arab leaders that are monarchs or dictators, value loyalty within their government over competence. And when you value loyalty over competence, a lot of the times you don't get the best fucking people for the job. Your buddy fucking Mahmoud, who grew up with you as a farmer, probably doesn't know shit about money, but he's your treasurer. Abdullah, your cousin, who you love dearly, he doesn't know shit about warfare. Never shot a gun in his life. But he's your fucking general of the armed forces. So what ends up happening is, Arab governments a lot of the times, there's a leader, and then he has a very tight circle of close friends and family next to him that he knows that won't betray him. But the problem is that these people are not competent. And the West knows this, and they're able to exploit that to their advantage. This is why in many of the Arab and Israeli wars, the Arabs always lost because they were just not good enough. Because in the Arab world, the leaders are fighting two wars. They're fighting against Israel, but guess who else they're fighting against? Their own people by not being overthrown. And this is kind of the silent fifth column that a lot of people don't understand about the Arab world. Being overthrown or getting a regime change by the West is a very strong reality. So they have to have a fight against the Western powers while simultaneously holding off the powers within their own country that want to dethrone them. And that makes for a very weak government. And Israel and the United States have been able to exploit this to their advantage. The toppling of Saddam Hussein created a chilling effect all across the Middle East. And many countries either got on board or were destroyed. Now, when it comes to Iran, as Iran was seeing what was going on all across the Middle East, they realized, just like Israel did back in 1956 during the Suez Canal crisis, that the only way that they could preserve their autonomy and their sovereignty is by having nuclear weapons. Now, there's only one problem with that. According to Islamic doctrine, a nuclear bomb, remember these guys are Shiites, is considered haram. They can't have it. And the Supreme Leader Khomeini basically issued like a fatwa where we will not use nuclear bombs. We will not have nuclear bombs. They're against the religion. Now, I know what some of you guys are saying. Martin, that's bullshit. I don't believe them, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. I'm not here to convince you guys whether they have nuclear bombs or not. Honestly, I don't even engage with that debate top. When people say, oh, Iran has nuclear weapons, they can't have them, I don't even engage on that because the reality is, whether they have them or not, I know why they are either bluffing that they have them or actually do have them. The reason why is because they've watched over several decades Israel and the United States systematically destroy every Muslim country next to them. And they realized, just like the Israelis did back in the 1950s, if you don't have a nuclear bomb, you're late to the game. Because contrary to what people try to tell you, a nuclear bomb is a strategic tool to ensure your sovereignty. It forces your adversaries to respect you. I'll give you guys an example. As you guys recall, Donald Trump got into a little fight with Kim Jong-un, leader of North Korea, and they had a battle about my button works, Rocket Man, blah, blah, blah. A lot of animosity. People were terrified that we're going to get into a nuclear war. What ended up happening? Donald Trump meets him, shakes his hand, first president to go into North Korea. Diplomacy is achieved to a degree. Unprecedented. Unprecedented. But why did that happen? That happened because both parties understood they had the ability to destroy each other or destroy critical infrastructure. That is what nuclear weapons do for you. They create MAD, mutually assured destruction. When you have mutually assured destruction, they must respect you. So when you see people talking about Iran having a nuclear weapon or whatever, you need to understand that that is for self-preservation because they don't have another choice. And again, this isn't me making excuses for Iran and saying I'm an Iran supporter or any of this other shit. This is me just having common sense and understanding, having the ability to critically think and empathize that if they are going to be attacked by the United States and Israel, who are both nuclear superpowers, by the way, they need to have a nuke too. It's equivalent to, you know that you got a fist fight coming up, and you know that you're going to fight two trained boxers. You probably want to get in the gym and train too, right? But then they're telling you now you can't go to the gym and train. Only we can train. See how ridiculous that sounds, chat? See how stupid that sounds? Not pragmatic whatsoever. Doesn't make sense. So that leads us to now. And I had to kind of give you guys that background so you understand how the fuck we got here. Okay? Fast forward to October 7, 2023. As you guys know, Hamas leads the military operation, goes into Israel. 1,200 people are killed. Several killed by the IDF, several killed by Hamas. Tragic day. Roughly 200 hostages are kidnapped. Israel leads a relentless assault into Gaza, bombs the fucking strip to hell. 90% of the infrastructure is pretty much gone, 99% of people displaced, 50% of the population are children, about 70% of the casualties are kids and women. Those are some rough numbers for you. Officially, as it stands right now, they're saying 50,000 dead. But we know it's significantly more because we have hundreds of thousands of people that are missing, and we know that are under the rubble. Because for those that don't know, Gaza extremely densely populated. We're talking about 2.2 to 2.3 million people in a very small portion. After the attack on Gaza, Israel wages a war in Lebanon. They do their pager attack for cerebral warfare, and they also launch a ground assault into southern Lebanon to stop the missiles coming in to northern Israel. A ceasefire is brokered, and the next day, Syria is toppled. Or Syria begins to get toppled by Ahmed al-Shara, a former al-Qaeda member who actually worked under bin Laden. And he ends up getting Bashar al-Assad out of Syria. Bashar al-Assad runs to Russia, and Syria is taken over within 3 weeks. Al-Shara, a.k.a. al-Jolani, a couple of weeks ago when Trump was in the Middle East, shook Trump's hand and got the sanctions removed from Syria. Historic day for Syria. But you best believe if you're going to get those fucking sanctions lifted, that means that you're going to play nice with Israel. Because one of the bargaining chips that the United States has, and many people don't know this, one of the bargaining chips that the United States always employs in the Middle East is, look, we'll give you aid, we will support you, we'll do business with you, but you need to play nice with Israel, okay? That is literally one of our main bartering tactics and strategies when we deal with and negotiate with Middle Eastern foreign powers. The Abraham Accords, where these countries would come into the Accords and recognize Israel. We would pay them. We paid Sudan, we paid Bahrain, we did business with them. Countries that typically did not want to recognize Israel, we went ahead and got them to recognize Israel for exchange for some type of benefit for their government. Right? So, but the country that never wanted, but obviously with these Abraham Accords and the recognition of Israel as a state, that leaves the Palestine question in play. Because it used to be the Arab world was united and said, we're not going to recognize Israel until they give the Palestinians their own state. And they were going to start recognizing Israel as their own state because there were meetings set up between Saudi Arabia and Israel to finally bring Saudi Arabia into the Abraham Accords. That's why Hamas struck. That is one of the biggest reasons why they struck. If Saudi Arabia got accepted into the Abraham Accords and recognized Israel as a state, the Palestine question would be on the table forever and it would be ignored. And if the Palestine question gets ignored, they're never going to get a fucking state. And the only levers that they had was being recognized by the Arab world. That is a big reason why they attacked. But anyway, going back to the conflict. So Israel goes into Lebanon, destabilizes them. Backs rebels that destabilize Syria. Some idiot yesterday tried to argue with me and say, oh, that's the Turks. Well, what are the Turks a part of? NATO, stupid fuck. And who runs NATO? The United States. Some idiot tried to argue with me about the semantics yesterday. I cooked them though, don't worry. Right? So, as we see, right? So as Israel starts to continue its wars all across the Middle East, after October 7th, which is exactly what they wanted, by the way, wage war on all the enemies, we start to see the toppling or weakening of all their adversaries. Hezbollah is disrupted and dismantled because pretty much their whole top end is dead. Syria is completely destabilized with a new leader. Bashar al-Assad is out of there, so no longer can Iran resupply Lebanon. The Houthis are getting bombarded by us. Iraq has been fucked up since forever. Who's left? Iran. So, since we know that Iran is the last guy left, Israel's been pushing for the better part of a year to start a war. Since last year, actually. That is why people like Bill Ackman, all these tech bros, Alex Karp, etc., PayPal Mafia, all these guys that are typically liberals, why did they all rally against Trump? I'll tell you why. They rallied against Trump because they knew that Trump was going to be far more pro-Israel and give them what they need to continue the fight. So that is why liberal, Democrat, Zionist Jews voted for Trump. Because when it comes to Israel, they don't give a fuck. When it comes to Israel, a lefty like Jonathan Greenblatt is going to agree with a conservative like Ben Shapiro. When it comes to Israel, a lefty like Bill Ackman is going to agree with your most far-right Israeli. Because the preservation of Israel always comes first. That is one of the few things that they unite against all the time. The protection of Israel. Bipartisan lines get fucking erased when it comes to Israel. Okay? And this is very important because these American Jews lobby, donate, and fight for the U.S. to be involved in foreign affairs to protect Israel. It's very important, guys. Miriam Adelson gave Trump $100 million fucking dollars. Miriam Adelson, for those that don't know, is a single issue voter. She only cares about Israel. So you're fucking drunk if you think that she's going to give Trump $100 million on this last campaign and not want something in return. What is that something? Support Israel. Now that we understand how the fuck we got here, what is Israel's intention? I need you guys to like the fucking video. Giving y'all the fucking whole Middle Eastern history session here. Israel's goal is regime change. That means they want the Ayatollah out. They want a puppet government in place, like the Shah in the 50s and 70s. Because back then, Iran was the only country that actually recognized Israel as a nation. The U.S. and Israel both want, despite the fact that the U.S. lies and says, oh, we don't want regime change, they do. It's just that they know what it takes and they don't want to get involved with that. But they want a regime change. And the reason why they want a regime change is because Israel wants to be the only nuclear power in the region. I'm going to say that again to you guys. The reason why Israel wants a regime change so bad is because they want to be the only nuclear superpower in the region. As it stands now, No one else has nuclear weapons in the Middle East. That is an enormous tactical advantage for Israel. Because what that will basically do is it is going to make them the de facto leader of the Middle East. They will have the most influence. They will have the most power. They will have the most ability to impose their will across the region. And then they will be able to expand the Greater Israel Project. It was always about expansion. It was always about growth and more colonization. And the only people standing in their way right now are the Iranians, because the Iranians have been arming and supporting the resistance groups fighting against their colonization and expansion. They've been a thorn on their side for decades. They've wanted this war for decades. And they finally have the opportunity. Why? Because all of Iran's enemies are weak. October 7th gave Netanyahu the green light to do what he always wanted to do. Go to war against Hezbollah, Lebanon, go to war against the Syrians, and make sure that they control the Golan Heights and dismantle their ability to preserve and allow replenishment to Hezbollah and Lebanon. Go after the Houthis and make sure that they stop attacking the ships and destroying his economy, because the Houthis basically bankrupt one of their fucking cargo ship companies. Keep Iraq destabilized and then eventually get the Ayatollah the fuck up out of there. Because they are the last competent country in the region that can challenge them militarily. So in other words, Iran and the Ayatollah are what Saddam was 30 years ago. The big threat. They got rid of Saddam and now Iran's left. Now, in order to effect this regime change, what do they need to do? They need a pretty damn good reason to go in there. Well, I'll tell you this, saying that they got a nuclear bomb is a pretty fucking good reason. Now, here's the problem. Whether Iran does or does not have the nuclear bomb is irrelevant. Because they're going to use the excuse of the nuclear bomb to effect regime change. And basically the Israelis are killing two birds with one stone. Because if they don't have the nuclear bomb, it doesn't matter because they're going to get the regime change. But if they do have the nuclear bomb, they need to get rid of it anyway so that they can conduct the regime change. You can't do regime change while they have nuclear weapons. This is why Iran has been enriching to 60% plus. It's a deterrence. And Israel can't have that. And neither can the United States. Now, that brings us to today. With Operation Rising Lion that went down last week, Israel was able to systematically kill their commanders, kill nuclear scientists, and they bombed several of their nuclear sites all across Iran. There's one problem, though. One of the nuclear sites is in a big-ass mountain, Fordo. And it's really deep in there. The only way to get in there is you need a 30,000-pound bomb that can only be dropped by basically a stealth B-2 bomber. Israel don't got that. But we do. It's important for you guys to know that as this conflict has been taking place, Israel has taken significant damage. Their intelligence components have been bombed. Their infrastructure has been bombed. The people of Israel are terrified. The Iron Dome, the Arrow, and the David Sling are not working as effectively as they thought because obviously Iran has a very sophisticated missile program. So Israel's been getting hit quite a bit. And on top of that, they're suppressing journalists from recording what's going on. I was in the space earlier debating with some idiots and they're trying to tell me, oh, well, it's for national security purposes and intelligence. That's irrelevant, retards. The bottom line is Israel is stopping journalists from recording damage. That's the fucking fact. The reason why is irrelevant. This is what these fucking idiots always want to argue with me about, these pro-Zionists. They're extremely pedantic. They want to sit there and argue about the little fucking nuances that don't make sense or that don't matter. The bottom line is this. The Israeli government right now, as it stands, as suppressing journalists from recording or taking pictures or documenting damage in Tel Aviv, Haifa, and other parts of Israel. The why is irrelevant, but they are. Why is this important? This is important because they don't want to show the image of Israel also getting beat up pretty badly. Israel's never been hit hard this way, ever. Not since their inception back in like the fucking 50s and 70s with the Yom Kippur War. And even then, it never reached Tel Aviv. So, since Israel's taking on casualties, destroyed buildings, etc., this isn't a good look. And on top of that, Israel can't keep shooting down these missiles forever. The interceptors are far more expensive than the missiles that Iran is shooting. And mainstream media is suppressing all this information from you guys. The mainstream media is not showing how hard Israel's being hit, but they are being hit hard. They are. Contrary to what Fox and CNN and Western media are telling you guys, they are absolutely getting hit hard. Israel, despite the fact that they sit there and lie and say, we believe in freedom of the press, it's not true. They're not allowing fucking reporters to document what's going on. They're either arresting them or making them turn off their cameras. They kicked Al Jazeera out of the fucking country, and they don't let international reporters into Gaza. Freedom of the press, my fucking ass. Some fucking dumbass Zionists were trying to tell me this shit. Oh yeah, there's freedom of the press here. Shut the fuck up. The airport's locked down. People can't leave. They shut down the border in Jordan when they were trying to leave. The Israelis are terrified. They're in fucking bunkers all the time. Obviously, they don't want this information out, but that's what it is, guys. Also, fighter jets were shot down by Iran. Multiple fighter jets have been shot down by Iran. Obviously, this isn't hitting the news for certain reasons. Israel suppressing it. Now, why am I telling you this? Because what I'm trying to tell you here is that Israel is taking on casualties. Israel is getting damaged. Iran is also getting damaged. Both of them are fucking each other up. But we're purposely concealing that Israel's getting fucked up as well for obvious reasons. Now, why am I saying all this? Because Israel would not be enduring these missile strikes if they didn't have some kind of assurance from the United States that there was going to be assistance. See where I'm going here, chat? And this is something that a lot of people have not noticed. I think I'm one of the few. Which I don't blame, because a lot of conservative commentators don't fucking actually pay attention to foreign policy. I'm going to say that again for you guys. Israel knew that Operation Rising Lions was going to lead to a severe and immediate retaliation from Iran. They understood that Iran has a sophisticated ballistic missile program that can fuck them up. They knew this. When they did that operation, they had the Mossad fucking guys shooting these drones and killing these commanders and killing nuclear scientists, etc. They knew that hell was going to rain down back on them in Tel Aviv and Haifa. They knew it. But Benjamin Netanyahu is not stupid. He would not take a calculated risk like that and put Israel in harm's way if not for assurances. And this is the golden part that no other political commentators talked about, and I'm pretty much the only one that's been talking about this, because I've been looking at all sides of the media. Israel has taken significant damage despite what they fucking tell you. Fighter jets have been shot down. People have died. Haifa's refinery, oil refinery, has been fucking destroyed. Oman and Mossad bases have been attacked. Tel Aviv is in fucking shambles in several areas. You just don't know because they made it illegal for the press to tell you. But there's no fucking way that Benjamin Netanyahu would be enduring this level of damage back on Israel. A glass cannon, by the way, that's never been hit this hard. There's no way he would endure this if he did not have reassurance from the United States that they would intervene. Because if the United States does not intervene, all of that was in vain. Years of putting Mossad agents into Iran, years of building this drone program within Tehran, years of doing assassinations, years of planning methodically with the pager attack, etc. All of that would go out the fucking wind if they didn't have reassurance from the United States. See where I'm going with this, chat? This is all planned. This is all planned. The only reason they went through with this operation, knowing that Iran was going to fuck them up like they are right now, is if they had reassurance that the United States would at least intervene and destroy the Fordo nuclear site. So with that said, I don't see a scenario where we are not going to step in and finish the job. We're in too deep now. Israel's definitely in too deep. There's no going back. One of these two regimes is either going to have to be dismantled and surrender or get eliminated. It's do or die now. There's no tit for tat, we're going to just retaliate, blah, blah. None of that. No, none of that bullshit. It's on like fucking Donkey Kong. And I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek trying to be funny, but the reality is that there's going to need to be a decisive winner here. One of two things. Israel's either going to surrender and leave the Ayatollah alone after getting hit too hard and not being able to take the casualties, or the Ayatollah is going to get destabilized and changed, or they're going to have to surrender on their side. Now, the concept of regime change, that's going to be kind of tough. I'm not going to lie. They're going to need boots on the ground for that one, and that's going to be bad because it took us a lot to conduct a regime change in Iraq, which was a smaller country, smaller population, and a weaker military. And then on top of that, there was less people. There's 90 million people that live in fucking Iran. Big country, 10 times as big as Israel, roughly. So it is for that reason that Israel conducted all these operations in Lebanon, in Iran, conducting these bombings, conducted all these clandestine operations, and then eventually, finally finishing it off with Operation Rising Lion. And now they're getting hit back. There is no way they would have went through with that operation, knowing they were going to get retaliation without getting reassurance from the United States that they would finish the job. And best believe it's going to be us that finishes the job for them. Because as always, the Israelis start wars that they can't win by themselves. We have to come in and save them every fucking time. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but it's every single time at this point. Conflict is going on in the Middle East, Israel. Clandestine operation, someone assassinated, Israel. False flag, Israel. They will stop at nothing, man. So again, to summarize this, the amount of resources that were expended to conduct this attack with Operation Rising Lions and all the things that happened before between October 7th up until now, all these operations they didn't do those operations in vain. The whole purpose was stopping their nuclear program that they have to effectuate a regime change. There's no way they're not seeing this through, and there's no way they would have done all that without having reassurances from the United States that they'll finish the job and use that B-2 bomber. This is why, and I'll show you guys a clip here that I was looking at this morning. Look at this. This is this morning with Donald Trump.
Whether you are moving closer or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on?
All right, let's play that again from the beginning and turn the volume up for you guys.
You've been answered questions about whether you are moving closer or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities. Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question. Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine. You would have had a country. It's very sad to watch this. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's so, everyone thought it was going to be the reverse. I didn't think so. And I was telling them, you gotta do something. You gotta negotiate. And at the end, last minute, they said, no, we're not going to do that, and they got hit.
Have the Iranians reached out to you?
Yes.
And what did they say?
I said.
Now the Iranians are saying this is a lie, that none of them reached out to Trump. And to be honest with you guys, I believe the Iranians, because all Trump has done when it's come to this fucking conflict is lie. To be honest with you guys. Let's keep playing those.
It's very late, I said it's very late to be talking.
Mr. President,
We may meet. It's. I don't know. There's a big difference between now and a week ago, right? Big difference.
President, you said we may meet. Mr. Powell said we may meet. Is this about Vance and with possibly going to contact?
It's about anybody. They even suggested they come to the White House. It's a big difference.
They suggested they come to the White House?
Yeah, but they've suggested that they come to the White House. That's, courageous, but, it's like not easy for them to do. But they suggest, because I can't go now because of what's going on. I had to come back early from the G7, which was terrific, by the way, in Canada. Really terrific, good people.
Is there a possibility of next week or sooner that
Well, I don't know how much longer it's going to go on. I mean, they're totally defenseless.
So what Trump is employing here is something called brinksmanship. Okay, chat? This is what, if you guys remember, Fat Boy, Michael Tracy or whatever, mentioned this during our debate. And what it is basically is, it's basically bringing tense negotiations to a point where it's damn near point of no return, playing dangerously close to the razor's edge, okay? And I go in here and I say, this doublespeak is precisely why we are very likely close to war. This reckless brinksmanship is, when there's a potential nuclear war, is awful diplomacy. And then look, you guys can see here from Charlie Kirk, right? President Trump, Iran suggested they come to the White House for talks. I said it's very late to be talking. There's a big difference between now and a week ago. They even suggested they come to the White House. That's courageous, but it's not as like easy for them to do. So I'll be honest. You guys know I like Donald Trump, but we can't really trust any of his fucking takes right now, okay? Because he's been extremely deceptive, non-genuine, and ambiguous with negotiations with Iran. When Israel attacked Iran, we were on like the 5th or 6th round of talks that were scheduled to be done this past Sunday in Oman. So, and let's go through this real quick, just so you guys kind of understand where the fuck we're coming from here, right? First, the attack happened, and Trump said, well, first, let's go to the beginning. First, Trump pulls embassy employees that are non-essential out of the Middle East. That was step one. Then, Trump went ahead, and the attack happened. After the attack happened, he said that we didn't have anything to do with it, right? At first. Then, Marco Rubio says, we knew it was happening, but we're not involved, right? Then, the Israelis come out and say, oh, well, they knew, and we planned it together. They knew. And then Trump comes back out again and says, yeah, I knew it was going all along. So which one is it? Which one is it? It's either you feign diplomacy to conduct a strike on Iran, which is awful fucking diplomacy, because you lied to them and they trusted you and you let them get attacked while being in the middle of discussions, or you were in the middle of diplomacy, you actually wanted to make a deal happen, but the Israelis fucking disobeyed you. Because Trump told the press that he asked Netanyahu to give him more time to do the negotiations. And then days later, Netanyahu bombed them anyway. So which one is it, Donnie? Which one is it? Did you actually pursue diplomacy and try to stop a nuclear fucking world war from potentially happening? And Netanyahu disobeyed you, which makes you look like a bitch? Because they are supposed to be beholden to us because we give them all their fucking aid and we're the reason they even exist? Is it that one where Netanyahu bitched you out? Or is it you feigned diplomacy, you lied to the Iranians, you went through 5 rounds of talks, you spent months trying to reignite the Obama deal, only to allow the Israelis to attack them, which will inevitably lead to a war, which is completely antithetical to what you fucking campaigned on. Because me and you both know, Donnie, that if the Israelis get into war with Iran, we will have to be brought in to fucking save the day. And I explained this earlier. So which one is it? You're either a lying diplomat or you're a U.S. president that can't control a rogue prime minister from Israel. Which one is it? It can't be both. Now, you guys are probably wondering, why is Trump being so ambiguous about this? Why is he behaving this way? Why is he not just saying what it is? I'll tell you guys why. Trump is in a very sensitive situation. As much as I'm being critical of him right now, I understand where he's coming from. And I'm going to explain to you guys so you know where the fuck his mind's at. And for you guys to understand this, you need to go back roughly 1 year. 1 year ago, Donald Trump's life was in peril. People tend to forget this, but I remember. Because when I criticize Trump, I always take this into account. I put myself in his shoes. 1 year ago, this guy was looking at federal prison for the rest of his fucking life. Jack Smith, Alvin Bragg, and Fannie Willis were on a crusade to destroy him. He was indicted out of the state of New York on state charges. He was indicted out of Georgia out of the state on state charges on RICO, and he was indicted twice federally. One in Washington, D.C., one in Florida. If he did not become president of the United States, he would be in prison right fucking now, and you guys could take that to the bank. Because unlike these other political commentators, I understand the severity of what he was charged with. And for those of you that are curious, the classified document case would have cooked him. That's what it was. Classified document case, they had him dead to rights. It is what it is. But there's a reason why I'm telling you this. So you guys can understand the mind of Donald Trump right now. As he was going through this legal peril, he needed money to campaign. He had been sued civilly hundreds of times. He had 4 criminal cases going on. That's expensive for lawyers, chat. Though Donald Trump's a billionaire, those legal bills start to add up very quickly. He needed money to run his campaign. Enter in Miro Madelson and the Zionist lobby. They gave him a lot of money to run, and they also backed him, but in exchange, he needed to do what the Zionist lobby asks. We got you, Donnie. We'll make sure you're president. We'll keep you from fucking prison. But you need to do this for Israel. Look, I think any guy that's his age, with a family, former president, doesn't want to go to prison for the rest of his life. Trump is old, guys. He's in his 80s. The art of the deal, right? He took the offer. Now, here's the problem, though. And this is where we get into the disconnect. When Trump ran for president, one of the main things he campaigned on is no new wars. In 2015, when he ran, no new wars. He made fun of Marco Rubio for taking Zionist money. But now Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State and he's taking Zionist money. The Donald Trump of 2015 is a different one than now. He criticized the Bush administration for the endless wars in the Middle East. And when he came back to campaign in 2024, he said, I'm not going to start no new wars. No new wars were started under me. I'm a peacemaker. I'm going to end the Russia-Ukraine war in 24 hours. It's an easy deal. I'm going to fix the Middle East. I'm not interested in regime change. I remember him famously saying that on PBD podcast. I'm not interested in Iranian regime change. So a lot of people in his base, people like me, people like Candace Owens, right? People like Dave Smith, people like Nick Fuentes, etc., people that like Donald Trump in general. I know Nick didn't vote. But we're like, all right, cool, no war? Awesome. I could get with that because the Biden administration failed us when it came to foreign policy 1,000%. They hadn't talked to Putin for years. Ukraine was getting their asses kicked and we kept giving them money. It was an L all around. At least Trump would be open up dialogue with Putin again, which he did. He did. So, a lot of Trump's voter base voted for him because he said no more wars. See where I'm coming here now, Chad? So, he's in a rock at a hard place. Half of his base is saying, no new wars. We don't want more war. we don't want to go to war for fucking Israel because they saw what happened in 2003. And then he has a Zionist constituency that's saying, we gave you a lot of money. We're the reason that you're in power. You need to do what we ask for Israel. So what Donald Trump is trying to navigate right now is he's trying to find a way where he can intervene and get the job done, but at the same time, not start a new war and ostracize half his base. And this is precisely why he's exercising this ambiguous, strange rhetoric where he can't answer questions fairly directly, which is contrary to how he normally does things. As you guys know, Trump isn't the best speaker. He's very blunt. He normally answers questions pretty directly. But for some odd reason, he's employing this fucking disingenuous, duplicitous language when asked about Iran. And the reason why is because he's probably pacing back and forth with his staff trying to figure out a way to finish the job in Iran without starting a real conflict. Because if we do get involved, which we are going to get involved because Israel can't do it themselves, if we do get involved and we bomb Fordo, and we're going to have to do it multiple times, by the way. It's not going to just be one bomb. It's going to have to be multiple runs of this shit. If we intervene, I predict that will be the beginning of the conflict. Iran is going to rain missiles down on military bases all across the Gulf. They're going to start working to get the Strait of Hormuz shut down. And economic peril is going to hit the entire world. And that is what Donald Trump is fighting with right now as we speak. He knows that if we intervene and we B-2 bomb that fucking nuclear site, that is Iran's last deterrent. So if he goes ahead and bombs that, they're going to say, all right, gloves are off. Because like I told you guys before, about 40 minutes ago, this is do or die situation for Iran. Do or fucking die. They watch all their other Arab countries and Muslim countries get destabilized around them. They know how this ends. They don't want a regime change, and they're going to go down fighting. They have more than enough evidence to show that the U.S. and Israel has no problem with doing regime change. And Donald Trump knowing this, because he's smart enough to know, Iran can't stand up to us militarily. They cannot. But they can stand up to us economically. And they can make it really hurt for the rest of us in America. We're talking about $7 fucking gallon of gas, chat, overnight. We're talking about those prices going up to $11. We're talking about food prices soaring. We're talking about the price of goods doubling, tripling, quadrupling overnight. You understand? This isn't just a situation where it's like, oh, yeah, you know, like, yeah, just take out their nuclear facility, bro. Not a big deal. Yeah, who cares? No. Iran's in a position where it's do or die, and if they're going to fucking go down, they're going to make sure all of us suffer alongside them. They're going to make it very painful for the rest of us. And Trump knows that. So he's fighting between half of his base that's saying no new wars. What the fuck? You campaign on no new wars. And then he has the other side where these Zionists put him in power. So he could avoid federal prison for the rest of his life. So he's at a rock and a hard place, and that's why he's answering these questions so deceptively. And as we speak, he's probably pacing back and forth right now at the fucking White House, figuring out how the fuck am I going to navigate this shit? Because if I go in, it's almost certainly going to cause a new war. And the American public that voted for me are going to feel it at the pump. They're going to feel it at the gas station. Guys, don't forget, in 2024, what did Trump campaign on besides no new wars? He said he would bring the grocery bills down. He said he would bring the inflation down. He said that the cost of living is too goddamn high, and Biden and Kamala Harris fucked everything up. So not only is he going to start a war, he's going to start a fucking price war too. You niggas aren't going to be able to get Kellogg's cereal no more. You're going to have to start, your Uber prices are going to triple. You won't be able to eat bread. Pizza's going to go up out the fucking woozah. You're going to be thinking twice when you got to drive your car. All that is going to fucking boil over, and Americans are going to get pissed. Also, keep in mind that Israel is wildly unpopular right now. This isn't fucking 2003 where we stand here with our fucking greatest ally. None of that bullshit flies no more. Americans are starting to slowly wake up, and nobody wants a new war for fucking Israel, to include the MAGA base, which has historically always been Israeli cocksuckers. So he's got to find a way to sell this fucking conflict. Charlie Kirk is already trying to do it. Charlie Kirk, Stephen Crowder, all these guys are trying to find a way to sell this fucking conflict like, well, you know, Trump always said that Iran can't have a nuclear bomb. He always said that, so he's being consistent. That's deceptive and disingenuous. Because him campaigning on no new wars outweighs Iran having a fucking nuclear bomb, bro.
Welcome, punch!
But they got to find a way to sell it. And this is why I really encourage you guys. Really encourage you guys. This week, this conflict is going to prove to you guys who's the real niggas and who's not. You guys are going to see who the MAGA retards are that get paid by the Trump administration that aren't going to criticize what the fuck is going on here. You're going to see the legacy big conservative guys, the Daily Wires, the Turning Point USAs, the Bonginos, the Crowders, etc. You're going to see all of them fucking support Trump with this stupidity. The real niggas are going to call it like it is. Me, Nick, a few others. So, look, man. And again, a lot of this stuff that I told you guys is not in the mainstream media for a reason. But that's what's going on right now in the White House. This is what Trump is battling with right now. He also knows that if he goes to war, it's going to destroy his legacy. Many of you guys know Trump has an ego. He loves to be able to sit down in an interview and talk about all of his accomplishments. We beat Kamala by a landslide. You know? No new wars under me. The tariffs are working great. Big, beautiful bill. Yeah. Right? A war with Iran would hurt his legacy. He would be known as the fucking neocon warhawk like George Bush. George Bush to this day has a terrible reputation, despite all the shit he did that was good. Nobody remembers No Child Left Behind. Nobody remembers that shit. All they remember is Operation Iraqi Freedom. That's what they remember. They don't remember all the reforms he made for education. They don't remember all the humanitarian shit he did. Nobody remembers any of that shit about Bush. They just remember that Dick Cheney ran us into war and we got hit with some fucking planes. And if Trump goes down this road, he's also going to be remembered as the fucking dumbass warhawk for Israel. And I would argue now there's even less support for Israel, so it'll be even worse for him. At least back in 2003, there was no internet. There was no social media where we could sit here and talk shit about them boys. It was Fox News or CNN, baby. It was both Zionist controlled. There wasn't really opposition media back then. But now there is. So anyway, I yapped there for quite a bit. But I think we covered quite a lot. Let me go ahead and read some of these chats. And we'll go into a little bit more analysis here. Also, guys, just so you guys know, obviously, as you guys can see, I cover a lot of topics that are taboo, that people don't really want to cover. I'm demonetized on YouTube for a reason. There's 5,700 of you guys in here, another 2,000 plus. We got almost 10,000 of you guys in here watching this stream. If you guys want to support the mission, jump on OSS. Only $4 to join. Code is themboys911. Because we all know they were involved in that shit too. But yeah, man, that's the best way to support because I'm fucking demonetized on YouTube because I tell the fucking truth. So that's the best way to support the mission by far, guys. Join up in the OSS. We're growing the army. $4 to join or $75 for the year. Best way to support the work. You get to call into the show. I'm going to start doing call-in segments that start next month. Merch discounts. When I do meetups in major cities, I might be in New York next week. I do meetups with the OSS members, and you get one annual meetup in Miami completely free. All my meetups are free, but it's only for OSS guys. And you guys go ahead and get to be involved in the show with the chat and everything else like that. So yeah, man, join the OSS. It's fucking litty. That's how we're able to keep doing what we're doing despite the fact that I'm fucking demonetized. Because the truth, obviously, YouTube doesn't want that out there for you guys. Because this topic is what got me fucking demonetized on YouTube, talking about Israel. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and read some of these chats, ninjas. And then also, I want you guys, I'm going to go into this video right here that covers the how the bombing of the nuclear facilities. JC Van says, Allah is the best of planners. There's no coincidence out of all you, Nick, Ryan, Dawson, and Corey are the real niggas exposing this pedophilic genocidal state. I'm telling you, bro. Not N8 donated. Thank you so much. Restless Cloud. And this is all from OSS members. I love you guys. Caribbean friend of mine has the view that the majority of cops and white people have it out for black people, and no matter how many times he contradicts himself in stats, I give him discredit his views, he will not change his mind. I just don't stop talking about this shit. Bro, niggas are stupid, bro. I won't even argue. Don't argue with these idiots, dude. They just want to be victims. You know, bro, at the end of the day, the black people, bro. Come on, man. Cutie Man says, if you want, if you was Trump, Myron, what would you do to try to resolve this situation? Because this is just a wild situation, all because of Benjamin. Bro, I would have never let them attack. Is this control of Iran the second phase of the Gaza rebuild land grab for Israel on our dime? Of course it is. Trump has to stick with Israel because Palantir will protect bribe Donald and his friends with the Epstein files and 9/11. Truth be told, he knows it's wrong, but another war over those files. D1 says, what are the chances that China or Russia come to aid the Iran after the U.S. joins the strikes against them? Very low, bro. Very low. Niga's Groiper says, Trump's been cucked by that Jay Mullah, plus his daughter got married to a Jay, so yeah. Cutie Man, I think Israel did what they want to do. Photon says, who backs Israel more, USA or Great Britain? Rothschilds were gifted Israel by Great Britain and their current company's HQ is there. Israel, the United States backs them more. But UK backs them a lot too. Shout out to TPC Films with the 25 gifted subs. Thank you so much, TPC. I really appreciate that, bro. Shout out to all you guys watching on Kick. You guys can go ahead and get some subs. Shout out to TPC. You guys can use the emojis. You guys probably see all the funny emojis I'm using there. So, I didn't know Piers Morgan was a Zionist. Piers and Professor Miranda got into a big argument over Israel-Iran war. Miranda called Piers Morgan a coward and a Zionist. Yeah, bro, look, let me be explicitly clear about this with you guys. Most big podcasters that are on the right are going to be Zionists, bro. I'm sorry. They run the media for real in America. All 6 of the biggest news media organizations in the United States are run by Zionists. All 6 that control 98% of the media. Mary 515 says, could they become an enemy of the United States in the future if they win the war and eventually get what they want? What could they turn against us? That would take a while. Herb Lunai, can you explain why America's always been so cucked to Israel? Because they have a strong, powerful lobby here in the United States that carries an enormous amount of money, influence, and wealth. Zap says, I think the logical false flag is a dirty bomb in IDF occupied territory, maybe near Lebanon. They can't do a big nuke, but a dirty bomb will make sense for the propaganda war, primitive sand people. Sure. Hey, man, I just joined OSS to show love, even though I'm usually not able to catch the live show. Thank you, bro. Hey, man, thank you for that. Wise person Meyer, why do you think Israel's already finished and they want to return back to Ukraine, which is their old homeland, Khazaria? What? I never said that. Top 8 says, WMRA handman, / Okay, Dopey says, watching on Rumble, JTube, and Locals, WOSS. Big W, Myron, keep cooking all these uninformed assholes, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Levi Israel, Myron, can you write a book, Why Israel Deserves Less? And in the book, you write the history of the Middle East? I could, potentially. It'll get banned, though. W. Myron from Brett Osika. Shout out to you, Brett. Guys, merch drop coming soon. Brett is my guy that runs the merch, so it's coming very soon for you niggas. We got 8,000 you guys watching live right now? Shout out to all you guys, bro. How the fuck are they going to maneuver so much territory when they are so few in numbers? That's a good question, bro. Persian King says, Myron, sorry to interrupt, but what do you think about the Rothschilds not controlling the banks of Iran, Cuba, and North Korea? Does that play a big factor? Of course it does. Because there's no J influence. Myron, sorry to interrupt. What do you think? Oh, no, got that one. Daryl Philbin, Iranian lawmakers burn U.S. flag in parliament while chanting death to America, threaten nuclear war on American. Oscar says, I really hope people grasp and understand what you're saying. It's very important. People will try to ingest information like this. Shout out to Myron for staying on point, showing us the truth. I got you. Zap says, bro, I legit did not know Saddam, Bin Laden hate each other. You need to do an episode in the Middle East with starting with the Russians going to Afghan. I didn't legit know why they were there. Oh, yeah. A lot of people don't know that Saddam Hussein and Osama hate each other. A lot of people don't know that. I did a whole podcast on this, by the way, where I covered Osama bin Laden. I went deep into Osama's history. Hey, Martin, yesterday I joined OSS for 75 for the year, but I don't know if I did it right. Can you help me, please? My email is dope, Ed Polo. Okay, I'll look back into it. Fuck apologize for being late or technical difficulties or whatever, my guy. If you aren't 100%, you have every right to be late or absent because 1,000% of us wouldn't be up this this up to date with geopolitics and everything trending. You got to take time to recover and rest. Appreciate everything you do, my G. Let's fucking go. I appreciate that, bro. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, like I had to kind of deliver this monologue for you guys because even though I feel like shit, I was like, I gotta fucking give these guys this information. All right, let's jump on Twitter, guys, and see what's going on with the latest with the conflict. I know Suleiman and them are running a space. Let's go ahead and jump in, get the latest with the conflict. I was up earlier debating with some idiots on fucking on X. I was cooking them yesterday and I was cooking them this morning too, because a lot of these Zionists are putting out a whole bunch of bullshit propaganda. And again, guys, join the OSS. That is the best way to support me. If you guys like my fucking work, if you guys support me, you guys love this type of info, you got to join the OSS. It's only $4 to join, and that is how I'm able to, continue doing and making this kind of content, despite the fact that YouTube demonetized me for literally information like this, bro. Literally, they demonetized me for telling the truth about Israel. 2 years ago, I've been demonetized. So if you guys want me to keep making content like this on this channel where I'm devoting, 7, 8, 9 hours on this shit easily, this is how. So let me go ahead and, shit. All right, let's jump in this Twitter space as well. Give me 1 sec, chat.
There that basically extracts all the natural resources from Sudan. I forget his name, Michael something.
Yeah, Africa is an interesting case because all these all these world powers are all fighting over there, like in Somalia, in Somaliland, right? Like the splits because it's a strategic area, right? So at some point, I think Somalia asked Iran for help, that they were sending some sort of military equipment, and then Somaliland is supported by Ethiopia and then supported by Israel, right? And then Djibouti is supported by Israel. They have a base there. And early in the war with Hezbollah, I believe Yemen targeted Djibouti because there's a base there.
Guys, just really quickly, I don't know if Suleiman mentioned this, but there's a poll in the nest. I've put it in as well, so I'm just going to remove one of them. Who should US bomb, Israel or Iran? Take a vote now, and after you've taken a vote, do me a favor, please, and retweet it so we get a mass audience. I mean, I want to have thousands and thousands and thousands of votes on this, representing what's happening. So please do retweet this so we get as many votes as possible.
Shout out to Hello Monkeys with the 5 gifted subs. I appreciate you so much, man. Appreciate that greatly.
Let's just call it that.
Khaleesi, can I ask a question?
Really quick, Jared, really quick before you go, really quick. Guys, go to the poll right now. We have about 5,000 people in here. Let's get all 5,000 people to vote right now and then retweet this post right now that Suleiman just put up. He just put up.
Also, guys, do me a favor. We got 5,400 of you guys watching right now. Smash that like button, guys. Want to make sure I give you guys the heat. Smash that like button. Join the OSS. Best way. I pinned it at the top on Rumble and on YouTube as well. If you guys want to go ahead and support. That's how I'm able to keep doing the content that I do, guys. That is by far the best way to support. $4 to join in the OSS. Join the OSS army where we fucking tell the truth and we be slashing because quite frankly, we're being taken over by them boys, man. It's fucking bullshit, bro.
Hitting a Tel Aviv skyscraper and the building was collapsing. And I asked Grok if it was true, and it said it looked likely is true. Was that for real? Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. When I first saw it, I thought it was AI, but when you look at the aftermath of that building, like the real aftermath of that building from other videos, half of that building did like slide off when it was hit.
Wow.
So I think it was real. If it wasn't real, it was extremely well done because it's accurate on the side of the building that kind of like split off.
Do we think that these sites are going to cause Israelis to maybe soften their hearts a little bit, or is it going to make them even nastier?
All right.
I think the ones that have always been nasty will get.
Oh, okay. They just gave me a mic.
I don't think people change their opinion much there.
I'll get you guys the latest updates right now. I got a mic, so. Hey guys, can you hear me?
Their ways.
Yeah, we can hear you, Myron. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Welcome, Myron, on the stage. Big time shout out. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Hey guys, I'm on stream right now. I kind of explained. I did a quick little monologue, I explained why I think it's inevitable that the United States is going to get involved in this thing, and we're at least at the bare minimum going to bomb the Fordo mountain base or nuclear site because obviously they don't have the resources to do so. What's the latest as far as I know the Israeli media has been, the Israeli government has been suppressing a whole bunch of information when it comes to attacks. But what's the kind of the latest with as far as like the retaliation so far? I know they're kind of going tit for tat, but what's the latest so far? If someone can summarize.
Absolutely, Myron. Big time shout out again. The latest right now is there's been strikes back and forth earlier to start the day off. Israel started attacking Iran, and then Iran came back with multiple strikes back just now, couple hours ago, actually. And most recent news just in, Iran has arrested 18 Israeli Mossad agents. And then right before that, we were also discussing Donald Trump. I don't know if you heard about that, the Donald Trump meeting they had in the White House regarding what they were going to decide.
When he was out in the front lawn and he said that I might bomb, I might not, that one?
Yeah, that one. What was your thoughts on that?
Oh, dude, I literally just reacted to it. It's fucking retarded. He's purposely being extremely ambiguous and, for a certain reason. I kind of explained this earlier. The reason why Trump is behaving that way and not really giving straight answers is because he understands half of his base are going to get very mad if we get involved in this conflict. But he also understands that a portion of his base is pro-Israel, and those are the ones that actually got him into power and pay for his campaign. So Trump is in a very sensitive political position right now where he has a responsibility to his donors to kind of do what they requested, aka the Adelsons and the Zionist lobby, but at the same time, he also has a responsibility to the people that voted for him that when he campaigned on no new wars. So I think that's why he's purposely being ambiguous, and he's trying to find a way where he can give the Israelis what they want and use his B-2 bomber and, knock down Fordo while simultaneously trying to stave off a potential real conflict with Iran, because I do think that if the United States gets involved and use that B-2 bomber and bombs Fordo, that Iran will retaliate and will actually bring them into this war officially. And as much as Iran doesn't want the war, I think they're in a position now where it's literally do or die. And if they go ahead and knock down that nuclear base or work towards taking down that nuclear facility, the last deterrent that Iran had all this time is going to be gone. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a very, I'll be honest, I wouldn't believe anything that Trump is saying right now when it comes to Iran and Israel, because we've already shown that he can't be trusted on this. First it was, oh, Netanyahu, give me some more time. I need another week. Let me negotiate. Then Israel attacks and he says, oh, yeah, I knew about it all along. And we were, kind of leading the Iranians on so that the Israelis can make an attack. So it's like, which one is it, bro? Were you trying to actually exercise some real diplomacy and Netanyahu disobeyed you and showed who really runs America? Or is it you lied to the Iranians, you didn't care about doing a nuclear deal, and you feigned diplomacy simply for a surprise attack done by Israel? Either way, it's horrible, and they're not going to want to do it diplomacy. So this whole shit of him saying at the White House, oh yeah, they want to come to the White House, they actually want to come to the table and negotiate, that's a fucking lie. They don't want to negotiate with the United States at this point. I think diplomacy is off the fucking table completely from the Iranian perspective. There's no fucking way the Iranian regime is going to want to come to the table and try to negotiate with the U.S. Because the other thing, too, and I think people need to understand this, Israel attacked, this is something else that the news has not been reporting, the Western news. Israel attacking Iran actually was a very bad move when it comes to this whole thing of regime change, because what Israel did, okay, so for this to make sense, and I was talking with this with Hussein, right? And for my audience, I'll tell you guys this because you guys haven't heard me talk about this yet. So let me talk about Iranian politics real quick because this is very important. In the Iranian government, right, we all know it's a theocracy being run by the cleric, blah, blah, whatever. But there's two parties, right, for me to simplify this. You got the reformists and you got the conservatives, right? The reformists are like maybe our equivalent of like Democrats. And then they got the conservatives, which is their equivalent of the conservatives. There's been a battle in Iran for a very long time, kind of a fracture in the government where the reformists want to exercise diplomacy in the effort of getting rid of the sanctions and allowing more trade and prospering the country economically. The conservatives, on the other hand, say the West can't be trusted. They ripped up the nuclear deal before. They don't really care about diplomacy. They just want to go ahead and lead us on so they can conduct regime change. And there's been this battle in the Iranian government for a very long time. And basically, Israel's operation, Rising Lion, whatever the fuck it is, I think it should be called Rising fucking Retard because they're getting us all of us in a fucking world war. This operation what Netanyahu wanted to do, or what he was hoping to do, was this operation would create a fracture where the people would say, all the people that are disgruntled with the Ayatollah would say, you know what, this is our chance to overthrow, blah, blah. That's why the fucking Shah, that's why Netanyahu, that's why multiple government entities that are pro-Western were saying, oh yeah, Iranian people, we're trying to liberate you, blah, blah, blah. Because they know that if the people rise up and rebel, that's easier to affect regime change, which is their bottom line. But it did the complete fucking opposite. And what it did instead was people that didn't like the Ayatollah, people that were critical of the theocracy, actually banded together because they hate Israel more than they hate Khomeini. And I'm going to say that again. They hate Israel more than they hate Khomeini. So what they basically did was they fucking backfired and united the country. This is why Iran has been launching these fucking missiles at Israel relentlessly with no fear, because now they used to be in a weird diplomatic position where it's like, okay, well, let's try to exercise some diplomacy. Let's not retaliate too hard, even though they killed Qasem Soleimani, even though they killed fucking Ismail Haniyeh on our ground, even though they fucking bombed their embassy, even though these Israelis done all this fucking shit to provoke. Let's go ahead and give measured responses so that diplomacy is never off the table. But once they fucking attacked them the way that they did, with Mossad agents in the back line, killing people, precision airstrikes with drones, knocking their radars down, killing nuclear scientists, etc., the level that Israel hit them with basically united the entire country for them to say, fuck Israel, we're going after them. As a matter of fact, and this is also wasn't reported in the mainstream media in America, which is also interesting to me, the Iranian people took to the fucking streets hours after the Israel attack and demanded the government hit Israel back. That's unprecedented. We almost never see a civilian population go to the streets and push for war. It's usually the other way around. So Netanyahu, Trump, and all these other Western powers that thought that they would rise up in the dumbass Shah, they actually fucking united Iran, and now they're standing behind the Ayatollah even more so. They put their grievances aside, and now they're like, all right, one united front, we're going to get rid of Israel. We can deal with our domestic problems after the fact. But right now, this is a matter of this existential crisis where we're fighting to survive now. So that's why I don't believe the whole Trump thing. And I just don't agree with it. Like, this is why I don't believe anything he's saying, because he's been lying when it comes to this Iran situation on purpose. So when he said, oh yeah, the Iranians want to come to the White House, all this other shit, complete bullshit. And I was actually watching an interview with an Iranian spokesperson, and he denied all that shit. He was like, bro, what? We didn't contact them. What the fuck? Like, and that makes more sense. Like, it's not that I'm sitting here saying like, oh yeah, I believe the Iranians. No, the Iranians are fucking liars too. But given the pattern of lies that Trump has pushed with this conflict, I am far more likely to believe the Iranians in this situation, because if you just look at the evidence, like, there's no way that they're going to come to the table and negotiate with the Americans, especially when the base in Iran is so fucking united right now. That would make no sense for them politically to go to the table with the Americans when the people are literally in the streets saying, fuck America, fuck Israel, attack Israel. We hate Israel more. So there's no way, dude. The diplomacy's fucking dead. And the Israelis know it, and that was their whole fucking purpose from the beginning. They always wanted to destroy diplomacy. And I think something else that's very important that someone else mentioned, when it comes to Steve Witkoff and this whole uranium enrichment shit, in the beginning of the talks, there was discussion with Iran being able to enrich uranium on a limited purpose. Why? Because according to international law, you are allowed to enrich uranium for energy purposes. It's completely legal. Many countries do this, right? But it wasn't until Steve Witkoff, because remember, they were doing rounds of this stuff. In the beginning, they're trying to come to a middle ground where Iran can enrich uranium to a degree, and it wouldn't be nuclear grade. After multiple meetings, the Trump administration kind of switched it up and said, okay, no more uranium enrichment. So Witkoff is going back and forth with like a chicken with his fucking head cut off, saying, oh yeah, now you guys can't enrich uranium. Sorry. Well, that's a fucking non-starter. That's a non-starter. The Iranians aren't even going to fucking negotiate if you won't even let them enrich uranium, right? Because not only is it from an energy perspective, but let's just be very honest and deal with the fucking elephant in the room. Israel is trying to destroy them. So since Israel is trying to destroy them, and they have constant threat of America potentially trying to do a regime change, they need the nuclear bomb. I find it interesting how back in the 1950s, Israel did everything they could to get the fucking nuclear bomb, which they ended up getting, right after a president was killed and all this other shit. They defied a U.S. president. They got the nuclear bomb, and they got it illegally, right? Because of this fear of being overtaken by their Arab counterparts. Iran is in the same exact position Israel was in roughly 70 years ago. And now they're saying, no, well, you guys can't go ahead and enrich uranium and everything else like that. It's like, dude, if Israel has a right to defend itself as a sovereign nation, well, guess what? Iran also has a right to defend itself as a sovereign nation. I think anyone that has half a brain that understands, pragmatism and understands why people do the things that they do, well, it would make sense. And the reason why they're pursuing a nuclear bomb, because I don't even argue with the neocons when they try to sit there and tell me, well, Iran has a nuclear bomb. We got to stop them. They're chanting death to America, death to Israel, blah, blah, all this other shit. I look at it like, well, we kind of did that. Like we've our bad foreign policy, okay, our really bad fucking foreign policy, which is run by Israel, by the way. It's not even really our foreign policy. It's their fucking foreign policy. Our poor foreign policy has put us in a situation where they're like, okay, they're trying to destroy us. They're trying to topple our regime. They have crippling sanctions on us. We tried to make peace with these guys. They put us on the foreign terrorist watch list in 2019 because of stupid ass Mike Pompeo. They ripped up the fucking nuclear deal. We've tried to be civil with these guys, and they're just trying to destroy our economy and destroy us. So you know what? Fuck you guys. And honestly, I can understand. Again, I'm not sitting here defending Iran. I'm not saying I support Iran. What I am saying is I understand why they're doing the shit that they're doing, because we have not really been good diplomacy partners in this situation, and we haven't been fair and we haven't been honest. We've been lying. We've been letting the Israelis run our foreign policy, and the Israelis want nothing more than to destroy Iran. So we have adopted their stupid foreign policy, and it's put us in the crosshairs as well. If we stop supporting Israel so much like we do, I promise you, the Ayatollah would not give a flying fuck. We are too far. We are too militarily strong for them to care. They just care about not being fucking dominated by Israel in the Middle East, in their region. All right? So that's what it is. And it's amazing to me how these stupid ass neocons sit there and say, well, Iran can't have a nuclear weapon because blah, blah, blah. That's a Zionist Israeli fucking talking point. And I find it incredible how they want to sit there and police Iran and say, you can't have nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, they have an illegal nuclear weapons program. It's fucking comical. It's the pot calling the kettle black at the highest level. But anyway, I was yapping a lot there, so I'll turn it to somebody else if they have anything they want to add. But yeah, any other news as far as like what's been going on? With strikes and shit? Oh, I can't hear anybody. Is anyone talking? All right, I can't hear any of you guys. Let me refresh. I'll be back. All right, give me 1 second, ninjas. I'll go back in there for you guys.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hear us?
Yeah, Khaleesi's talking,
Let me refresh. I'll be back.
Okay, awesome. Myron will be right back. Go ahead, Khaleesi.
That's just so typical, isn't it? He can hear all the guys on the panel, but the only chick he can't hear. Like, seriously, that could only happen to Myron or Suleiman.
Selective hearing, Khaleesi. Selective
Very
hearing.
much so.
Yeah, I can't hear women.
I wanted to ask you.
Myron, do you hear us?
Yeah, now I can hear you guys. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear anything before at all, dude. I'm sorry if I was droning on there.
No problem. Thanks for coming back up. But Myron, did you cover Colonel Nathan McCormack today?
No. What happened there?
Okay, so he's been serving in the military, and you know how we say thank you for your service and everything, and you're heroes. He got suspended. He got sacked. Basically, they removed him. The U.S. removed Pentagon official Colonel Nathan McCormack from his position because of a few things he said about
Oh,
Israel.
no, someone did say that. Yes, he called Israel like a pariah state or something like that. Yes, someone in my audience super chatted that. Yes, yes, I did hear.
The statements he made, which he got fired for, and then I'll pass the mic to Joe. He said Netanyahu and his judo supremacist cronies are determined to prolong the conflict for their own goals, either to remain in power or to annex the land. He also said Israel's actions over decades have prompted the accusation of ethnic cleansing and genocide. He said, responding to the idea of relocating Gaza's population, Israel wants to expel them and cleanse Greater Israel of ethnic Palestinians. And then he said pretty much what you said, which is why I remembered. He said the US have not been an honest broker. We have overwhelmingly enabled Israel's bad behavior, and Israel is our worst ally. We get literally nothing out of the partnership other than the enmity. So like basically, you know, hate of millions of people in Middle East, Africa and Asia. So he said a couple of, and then he said the Western states go to great lengths to avoid criticism of Israel, much out of Holocaust guilt. And then he called Israel a death cult. He got sacked for that. He literally spoke the truth. What a warrior. And they let him go. No, none of this. Thank you for your service.
And, you know, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's kind of the mantra in the United States with the way that conservative politics are. In the United States, when it comes to conservative media, when it comes to, you know, the Israel topic or, you know, Jewish power in America, it's a very frowned upon topic. If you discuss it in the conservative media circles, and any American here can probably agree with me here, because I know we have a lot of international people here, but in American politics, especially on the right wing, if you're critical of Israel or any of our foreign policy, it's almost a death sentence for you career-wise. You won't get on the biggest shows. You won't be invited to the biggest events. You'll be ostracized from a lot of these things. I mean, you could look at someone like a Nick Fuentes, who literally had his career destroyed in the inception because he was critical. He was asking questions about Israel in the beginning. It used to be very taboo to talk about this topic prior to October 7th. Now, obviously, October 7th has, put a magnifying glass on Israel's war crimes and atrocities that they've been doing for literally decades. But now that we're watching a genocide in 4K, which many experts, even Holocaust survivor experts, are saying, that they even agree that what's going on in Gaza is a fucking genocide. Many Jewish Holocaust researchers are saying this. It's irrefutable now. And it's allowed us to have a greater discussion on Israel and Israel's impact on American foreign policy because of what's going on October 7th. But now, even though that there's this highlighted interest in Israel in the conservative media, the biggest conservative pundits don't talk about this because they have allegiance to Trump. A lot of them helped Trump get elected. And obviously we know Trump was pretty much put in power by the Adelsons and the powerful Zionist lobby, which is why he's doing a lot of this bullshit. But yeah, I'm not surprised that colonel got sacked, because criticizing Israel in the United States, especially as a conservative or as a government employee, is a big fucking no-no. You will never hear a political commentator on the right that's big saying, well, Iran has the right to defend itself too. You'll never hear them say, well, Israel has nuclear weapons as well, and that's kind of why they have a nuclear program or are feigning one. They'll never admit, oh yeah, our diplomacy is very duplicitous and it creates a lot of problems. They'll never say, oh yeah, the reason why terrorists attack us in America is because of our horrible fucking foreign policy. They'll never talk about bin Laden's, letter to America, where he outlines systematically that our support of Israel is a big reason why they have an issue with the United States, whether it was Israel invading Lebanon in the 80s or us being involved in Middle Eastern affairs. He goes through all of his fucking grievances, and the common denominator on all of them, fucking Israel. So talking about any of this stuff, especially as a right-wing political commentator in America, is going to be the death of your career. They automatically put you in what they either call you woke right or they call you far right. But either way, those are both pejorative terms in American media to distinguish people that are conservative but not Zionist dick suckers. They're critical of Israel, and that's a big fucking no-no.
Thanks,
Hey, Myron,
Myron. I just want to give some breaking news really quickly, and then I'm coming straight to you, Joa. It's in the nest, guys. President Trump will be in the Situation Room tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. That's Eastern Standard Time, I assume, to discuss war with Iran. President Trump will be in the Situation Room tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. to discuss the war with Iran. Guys, it's in the nest. Please share it. Please retweet it. Go ahead, Joa.
Really quick.
Myron, the thing you made a lot of good points. Like, Israel is one of the few countries with an illegal nuclear program, and they're the one dictating the rules. But the one thing people aren't looking at is, imagine the precedent this is making. I sent you a post I made, and I basically made a fake New York Times article that said China launches invasion of Japan as Tokyo nears nuclear threshold. Japan has 9 tons of uranium. They could build at least 50 nuclear warheads in 9 months. So imagine China says, hey, we're invading Japan because they're close to a nuclear bomb. Or, guess what? Plutonium that South Korea has. They could get nuclear bomb. They can get 13 nuclear bombs within 9 months. So North Korea says, hey, we're invading South Korea because they're close to having a nuclear bomb. Or Netherlands and Germany could have nuclear bombs within 9 months as well. So Russia says, hey, I'm invading them because they can have nuclear bombs. So the precedent that Israel sets, what's America going to do if other countries use the same argument? What side are they going to be on now? How are they going to look to the rest of the world? What's America going to look like? What's going to look like?
I love that you brought that up, because I was literally last week when this war kicked off, I was someone came up to me and said, well, Iran has nukes or some other bullshit like that. I said, no, Iran is a nuclear threshold state similar to Japan. And I used Japan and Brazil as examples. I didn't realize that Japan has that much uranium. I didn't know it was that much, but I do know that they're in a very similar nuclear position as Iran. And that's a great point that you made, where this is a setting as a very bad precedent all across the world with, when it comes to nuclear proliferation and uranium enrichment or whatever, because if we're going to go ahead and employ this as standard against Iran, what's to say that we can't go ahead and use this again? Because what I've also talked about is like how Israel has been able to kind of make a boogeyman out of somebody. So first it was Saddam Hussein. We took him out, and then they were, they lied about anthrax and 9/11, blah, blah, blah. We took Saddam out for them, and now Iran is the proverbial boogeyman and the last boogeyman left in their eyes. So they're doing everything in their power to get rid of them as well. And Iran's the last
It's not
one.
the last. It's not the last, Myron. They said Pakistan's next already.
Oh, yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Joa. Pakistan, from what I understand, and someone can fact check me here, I got news, I think me and Khaleesi were talking about this a couple days ago, that the general of Pakistan was supposed to be at the White House meeting with Trump. Did that meeting actually go down? Or that's I think I saw from like the Indian Times or some shit like that. You guys hear about that?
Khaleesi might know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
What was that?
I was talking about the Pakistani military commander that was having an impromptu meeting with Trump at the White House, and we were talking about it. And I think the reason why is because the U.S. wants to set fighter jets there, or some type of, they're trying to set something up strategically for a potential assault on Iran on Pakistani land, and maybe also to defuse the potential nuclear aggression towards Israel. But go ahead, you could take it if you know more.
No, Myron. So I did. I mean, it wasn't made very widely known publicly, but I did know his name's Alfred Munir, and he was in Washington. We had somebody come up just a little while ago and said it was a pre-planned meeting, pre-scheduled. And I was like, well, he could have cancelled it given the heat on Trump. So I'm not really sure. The timing of it seems a bit suspect. I do think he's a decent guy compared to other army generals, chief of army staff. So I'm not sure if he'll go all in. I think he's going to want to protect Pakistan's interests. I don't know, because the statements made that, obviously Netanyahu does not want any Muslim/Arab country to have nukes, and Pakistan is the only Muslim country with nuclear weapons. They have allowed America to use their military bases before for Afghanistan, and that was a mistake, a massive mistake. I think he may play it politically, diplomatically. Let's see. I'm not sure if he'll sell the country out, but we don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, I saw there was like I guess he was going to the White House or something like that, and I saw someone recorded like a bunch of hecklers yelling at him, saying like, shame on you. And it probably is because of what you're talking about, where they're frowned upon, because we have a very weird relationship with Pakistan. I'll give you an example, like with the whole Bin Laden Abbottabad situation. The United States didn't tell Pakistan that they were going to go in, right? Because Pakistan has historically kind of played both sides. They have a very good intelligence service, but obviously the intelligence world is very tricky and very difficult to navigate sometimes. And the United States was kind of like, you know what, we've dealt with Pakistan before, but we don't trust them. And I think that's also kind of caused the rift, when it comes to geopolitical relations. I think we kind of just deal with each other because we have to, but I think the trust between the two countries isn't that high.
But Myron, if you listen to Seymour Hersh, which is the one that wrote about the Samson option, the one that uncovered it, and Abu Ghraib and a bunch of other ones, in his book about Osama bin Laden, he said that Osama bin Laden was in jail in Pakistan for years, but America wanted to continue the war, and that's why they were holding him. That's what Seymour Hersh says, which still hasn't been proven, but he's been called crazy many times and proven right.
Wow, I did not know. So he was in jail in Pakistan after 9/11?
Yeah, that's what that they had arrested him, and America wanted him held there so they can continue their war in Afghanistan.
I will tell you
that's
this.
What Seymour Hersh says.
I did hear this as well, that when after 9/11 and the U.S. was looking for bin Laden, the Taliban said, look, we'll give you bin Laden, but he has to be tried in our courts according to our legal system, and get a fair trial. We're not going to just give him to you guys so you can go ahead and, you try him in American court. We will go ahead and allow you guys to, we'll arrest him for you and we'll run the court process, but the U.S. declined. I heard that story as well when it came to bin Laden and Taliban.
So just really quickly, Myron, those hecklers that you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
They're not heckling him because they're disgusted that he might actually support America against Iran. They're heckling him because the politics in Pakistan is very divisive. And overwhelmingly, there were a lot of Pakistanis that were even against him during the Pakistan India conflict recently. Pakistan was winning that hands down, but they hate him because they think they hate anybody because obviously they're Imran Khan supporters and they'll heckle him. So they were literally at that time, they had a movement online and offline, even when he came before that to the UK, well before anything happened with Iran. They were protesting here in the UK when he came for a military visit in the UK because they think he should release Imran Khan, but he's chief of army staff, he's not judiciary, he's not prime minister. That's the first thing. Secondly, I'm being told that international media is actually reporting that when he went to Washington, he's come to a compromise with Washington, where he was assured that he would be chief of army staff long term, and in exchange, he would cooperate with America. I haven't, and I've literally just been told this in the last few minutes, I haven't assessed the veracity of it, but it's across all channels, especially in India and Pakistan, I'm being told, so I'll check it out. But yeah, gray area there.
All right. That's interesting. Yeah. Go ahead.
Myron, do you know about the protests that erupted in New York and LA and Portland, by the way?
With the immigration stuff?
No. Today, now, anti-war stuff.
Oh.
Huge protest in New York City.
No, I didn't know. Tell me about it. I literally woke up a few hours ago, so I didn't even get a chance to look at the news. Tell us about it.
It's one of the bigger protests I've seen. Even the pro-Palestine protests, I don't think were this big. On the first day, I don't know if ever, maybe towards the end there were, but for a first day protest, it was huge. I'll send you a link, but Suleiman has posts about it. If you go through his posts, huge protests for something that just came kind of organically, to be honest.
I mean, that's good.
I'm expecting even more on the weekend.
That's good, man. I think that's worth, I honestly think that's worth protesting more than the fucking bullshit immigration stuff. We're talking about, serious, this is a potential nuclear fucking war. And, we haven't seen a nuclear weapon activated since obviously World War II. Well, you best believe that the weapons now are going to be far more deadly. I mean, what we saw in World War II, those were primitive fucking atomic bombs. Those are like bullshit bombs compared to what we have now. So not only will it be devastating, it'll be devastating to a precedent we've never even seen before. We don't even know what the ramifications were. I mean, in Japan, it wasn't until recently that the air was still fucked up with, in the air. So this is a very dangerous thing that we're flirting here. And for what? When you actually look at the return on this situation of what's at stake. What's at stake? What? Israel being able to fucking have hegemony in the Middle East? This is really what this is about. This is about Israel getting rid of all their fucking adversaries so that they can go ahead and become the new #1 power in the Middle East. That's what this is, right? It's not going to stop nuclear proliferation, right? The people in the Middle East are going to still try to get one. I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi Arabia or these other countries don't try to secretly procure a nuclear weapon, because at the end of the day, no one trusts the Israelis. We know that the Israelis will backstab and do a whole bunch of bullshit and do false flags, whatever they need to do. So, Israel getting a nuclear bomb back in the 60s actually is what kicked off this nuclear arms race in the Middle East that they're actually trying to stop now. But since they got the bomb, they don't want anyone else to have it, because that would force them to exercise diplomacy with their air partners, and that's the last thing that they want.
Hi, Myron. How's it going? Sorry, I was away for a few minutes. How's things?
Good, bro. I was just kind of getting updates on what's the latest. I know you just posted that Trump will be at the Situation Room tomorrow at 11 with war with Iran. Can you, because obviously, right, the Western media, they've been reporting a lot of the hits that Iran has taken, which is true. Iran has definitely gotten hit quite a bit, but the Western media has been very mute on the Iranian retaliations. I mean, we've seen video here of hypersonic missiles hitting Haifa and Tel Aviv pretty hard. What's the latest as far as damage in Israel, Tel Aviv and Haifa, or any other strategic locations?
Yeah, the issue is yesterday they talked about it, and today they issued a actual directive. I posted about it, where they're basically gonna arrest anyone who releases any footage about what's happening in Israel. And so therefore there's been a media blackout and censorship. As an example, from today's attacks, we thought there was 0 hits. But then some Indian vessel had taken a video, and then we posted it. So that's an example of how, and a demonstration of how much of a media blackout there is from the Israeli perspective. They're making sure nobody knows exactly what's happening. The other thing is, in terms of the protests, I think Sneako's there as well. So they are huge. And the third thing I wanted to highlight to you and your audience is about, the IAEA. the people who basically watch over nuclear proliferation and nuclear advancement and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And, you know, investigate whether a country is doing that. Well, despite the fact that there was some documents released that they were colluding with the Israelis, they've come out today unequivocally, and I did a couple of posts on there, saying that Iran is not working towards having a nuclear bomb, and it is not systematically attempting to get a nuclear bomb. Now, why that is interesting is because it's basically confirmed by a third party who clearly isn't in favor of and I'm surprised the tweet just went to like 180k views and then it just stayed there, so obviously it's been suppressed. But the point is, a neutral party has confirmed that Iran isn't doing that. So it's exactly the same thing as the WMDs, where you have confirmation that Iraq didn't have WMDs and they went in. Here we have confirmation in real time today that Iran doesn't have nuclear proliferation. They said, quote, on the basis of our evaluation, we came to the conclusion that we could not affirm that there is any systematic effort in Iran to manufacture a nuclear weapon. So despite that, that's been confirmed by them, by a third party, neutral party. So what it demonstrates is when they do go to war, the US is clearly going to be against the reality of what's happening. Furthermore, in terms of like the conduct that the Iranians have done, Iranians have been very clear. They do not want war with the United States of America. They know that America is complicit. They know America is help supporting the attacks on them. They know that America is providing a wide range of things. Despite that being the case, they've actually said that, look, we're not going to go to war with Iran unless they directly, militarily attack us. And so what that means is it's only when Trump decides to directly attack is when they're going to go to war with Iran. And so when he does so, he's putting American lives at risk for Israeli lives.
100%.
Israel.
100%.
And that's what the main updates. Obviously, in terms of nuclear, in terms of weapons, this was today. The Iranians used a different form of missile today. I believe it was called the Salij. I could be getting the name wrong. Where it was obviously a hypersonic missile, but with the one that basically works in a more. It has a higher payload. It has a longer trajectory. They only used a mid-range version of it. But we saw the different, like it basically its maneuver and how it maneuvers away from interceptors. We put pictures out of that as well. So that was quite interesting where they'd used that for the first time today as well.
Okay, so no, 100%, man. And I think that's what Trump is battling with right now. They need this B-2 bomber to finish the job at Fordo, but he's got to weigh the risk of that Iranian retaliation is probably going to cause some serious damage all across the Gulf. And, you know, we're talking about economic pain. We're talking about soldiers dying for what? For Israel to, you know, bomb a nuclear facility, Fordo. And that's kind of what I think Trump is trying to weigh out right now, because he's in a weird spot because half his base doesn't want war. But then obviously his constituents that actually pay him money, the Zionists, they want the war. So he's in a very weird and, sensitive political position. As far as Tulsi Gabbard, I reported that this morning as soon as you tweeted it. That was huge. And I'm sorry, I took my headphones off to talk to Chris real quick. Is that confirmed that Tulsi Gabbard is in fact going to resign if Trump goes to war with Iran?
No, since then she's backtracked and she said, "Oh, my position and Trump's position is the same." So,
wow. But she did report that before.
I don't know if she means that Trump has backtracked on his position or she's backtracked on hers, but likely she's backtracked on her position.
Okay, but she did say at first, or was that like directly reported, or was that like somewhat a rumor? Like
yeah, it was reported at first, but then because it was reported by the media, then she came out and basically said, "No, my position is the same as Trump's position."
That's funny because literally like a couple months ago, her position was completely the opposite, saying Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. They're not trying to build a nuclear weapon, and they haven't tried since 2003. So, and then Trump on Air Force One, a reporter asked him about that. Hey, what's up with, you guys going after them for nuclear weapons when your DNI literally said that they don't have them? And he said, I don't care what she thinks. So I'm sure that probably caused quite a rift in that relationship between them. But no, I mean, this is a very sensitive time, man. And actually, I found your video that you mentioned. You said these were like Indian sailors or something like that, or they were out in, I can see here, Indian vessel captured the moment 2 Iranian ballistic missiles struck Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
All right, I'll play that for the people real quick. I'll mute myself so you guys can keep discussing.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I hit with some breaking news, guys?
Jump in, dude.
IDF issues evacuation warning for residents in Iran's Arak and Khandab area. This is kind of really big. And I just got a message from Abu Sitta who wanted me to say this because I don't think he can get up to the space. He said he can get on the space, but this is breaking news. If they hit this nuclear facility, Arak reactor, there's no more containment. The Israelis are literally forcing the Americans in right now. You can hit a nuclear reactor in a war and not get the Americans involved. And he's right. I was saying I didn't see this anywhere, but then all of a sudden Telegram just lit up.
I just missed the last bit. What did he say again, did he?
I was telling him, give me a second, I just want to confirm it on Telegram. I said I wasn't seeing it anywhere. And then sure as hell, the minute he sent it, Telegram just lit up everywhere with this exact information. It's everywhere. They're saying that this is going to be a hit. I'm going to send this to your DMs right now.
Okay. Cool. Let's bring
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Just while you do that, oh, is Junior gone? Oh, are you bringing him up?
Hold on, I'll leave the space. I'll play this for you guys. So this is from earlier today. As you guys know, Israel's been suppressing journalism. So check this out.
Oh my god!
Holy shit, bro. Wow. Bruh. Yep, they don't want y'all to see that shit, bro. Let's look at some of these protests. Ooh, I want to see some of the Tucker stuff too. Let's see here. Yeah, and this is Suleiman's page, guys. He's breaking a lot of news on here, like suppressed stuff. So if you guys want to see like what's going on as far as like the conflict, to see like what the damage Iran is causing, you can go ahead and follow him. It's Sheikh Suleiman right here. You know, and obviously, look, let me be clear about this, guys. Israel's doing a lot of damage to Iran too. But I just find it interesting how like they're only reporting the Israeli W's and not the Israeli L's. Very, very interesting stuff. All right, let me go ahead and let's look at this Tucker interview because I know Tucker talked to what's his name today, Ted Cruz, dumbass.
So you've come out for regime change in Iran as distinct just from taking out the nuclear sites. What does regime change look like in Iran?
Look at that. Calling for regime change. Bullshit, bro. Bro. Dude, and just so you guys know, by the way, just so you guys know, $2 million.
Welcome. Punch!
Always follow the money, chat. Always follow the money. All right, let me read some of these chats. Pop says, my knowledge in space when news broke about the missiles, they are incorrect. It was a hypersonic. It was ICBM in the picture. What you see is atmospheric disruption after the first stage separates from the rocket booster into space. Hypersonic, do not go to space. They also don't know what missile it was. They speculate. Okay. Prince JG says, hey, Martin, Trump's flipped on Iran in just a few days from talk of diplomacy to full threats of war. Who's actually in his ear shaping that message? And Stephen Miller, Netanyahu, people from AIPAC or Addison camp, who's guiding this behind the scenes? Bro, it's 100% the Zionist lobby, bro. 100%, bro. And guys, just so you guys know, I'm reading all chats from OSS members, even if it's $1. So if you guys want to go ahead and get your chat read in, join OSS. Link is in the description and below. Join for $4, man. Support the mission. Allow me to be able to continue to do this stuff. Right now, we got 5,300 live viewers on here on YouTube alone. And I'm not getting paid for it, bro. These dudes are fucking stiffing me. But my thing is, even though I shouldn't be streaming on YouTube from a monetary perspective, it makes no sense to do that. I still do it because a lot of you guys I know like to watch me on 4K. Like guys like to watch on YouTube. So I'm staying on YouTube for you guys, even though I lose money by doing so. So actually, you know, I'll do a quick little poll. But while I do that, let's keep going on with the show. Hey, Mar, just joined OSS. Want to say hi and thank you for all the content. Thank you so much, Deshallow. Estebar says, hey, Mar, join OSS. I love Rumble. Please stream with Nick soon if you can. Yes, it's coming soon. Coming soon. I was talking to Nick earlier today. I hit him up. Hey, Myron, been a follower for about 3 years now, and since you started the Night Train debrief, you quickly became nearly the only way I consume geopolitical news, and now that all these discussions about this war is happening, I truly realize how valuable your commentary is. I appreciate you equipping me cook these normies. I got you, bro. I got you. That's what I'm here for, and that's why I take this shit so seriously now. I'm sure you guys have seen that I'm like kind of obsessing about doing the MGX and going hard for you guys. Even now, even though I feel like shit, guys, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I feel really sick. I'm still here because I think it's that fucking important, because I know a lot of you guys get your news through me, and I take that as a very serious fucking responsibility. So I really am doing my best to get you guys the most up-to-date stuff, give you guys different information. Like, I'm not just going to give you guys pro, Israel information or pro-Iranian information. I'm giving you guys both, right? I'm telling you guys, Iran is getting fucked up. I've said that. Iran is absolutely getting fucked up by Israel. But at the same time, I'm going to show you how Iran is fucking Israel up back in response. That's what the Western media is not showing you. Let's see here. Phenemic says, Myron, will there be badges for longtime supporters in the future? I changed my subscription from monthly to yearly in the stream. I got you. I'll talk with Josie, Brett. Let's try to figure something out for the OSS guys and get them some badges. Hey, Myron, just joined OSS. I've been a Castle Club member since 2023. You saved my life in 2022. Thank you for so much. Appreciate that, Nigel. The wall, that's a Rumble rant. You got to, if you donate on OSS, I'll read it if it's $1. Just joined OSS as an FBA that doesn't take the victim mindset. I have to support you for all the value. I've been watching since 2021. Thank you so much, Holyfield. I really appreciate that, bro. You are a smart FBA, unlike these other niggas, man. King of Lords, Myron for president. Appreciate that. Lamo says, join OSS. Myron is the only real one who deserves support and doesn't ask for as much as he should. That reminder of saying, nigga. I appreciate it, bro. Like I said, I'm losing money on YouTube, but as long as like 50% of people support me on YouTube, that's cool. I think that'll, I'll take that, man. Even though I shouldn't be even streaming on here at all. Everybody is telling me I'm an idiot for streaming on YouTube, but it's fine. Invading Iran will be a nightmare. The mountains, that deserts, I don't know, man. I see for at least 80K dead just to... Yeah, bro, yeah. We needed 200K boots on the ground for Iraq, bro. Iran is way bigger. Zoom call for tonight for CC? I am not sure, but we will get you one, guys. We gave you guys like 3 last week, so maybe that's why. Let's see. Lord Frieza, we need Thanos' mustache man to come back and eliminate the other half of Israel. JC Van, for the Spanish-speaking niggas at this chat, follow geopolitical Ariel Umez. He's a Uruguayan journalist who hates them boys and advises to avoid them like the plague. Okay. Damn Iron Black. Okay. We know this photon fruity nigga DDG so sus. What? Oh, you sent me this picture? Okay. Can you explain, excluding financial lobbying influence, how someone on the political right like Greg Gutfield or Jesse Waters justifies being strongly pro-Israel and anti-Iran, given claims that alliances fueled regional hostility and costly wars? It is strategic, religious, cultural, or partly due to viewing Israelis as more Western or civilized. It's a combination of them all. But if you're going to talk about Jesse Waters, for example, Jesse Waters works for Fox News. Fox News is owned by the Murdochs. The Murdochs are hardcore Zionists. Murdoch, Rupert Murdoch to be exact, is a close friend of Benjamin Netanyahu. There you go. You could do the math from there. Is repaying the Zionist lobby the $100 million an option? I wish. Niga's Groiper, do you really think Pakistan will also enter? Because if they do, I doubt India will just sit there when Kashmir would be up for grabs. I don't think they'll get involved. Okay, cool. Let's get back, guys, to the interview with Ted Cruz and the other people. Super Javi, I'm reading all the OSS chats except the ones that challenge my stance because I'm a Zionist. F, cook that man, Myron. Okay. Yo, Myron, joined OSS 2 days ago because the value's worth it. Been watching you for 3 years now. Keep doing what you're doing, especially with the debrief. I watch every day and admire your hard work. Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate that. I'm going to put a poll up on YouTube here in a second, but let's go ahead and go into this Ted Cruz interview, because if you guys want to see, when I talk about politicians that are owned by Israel, Ted Cruz is one of the worst offenders. This guy's one of the biggest fucking Zionist lobby cocksuckers in America. One of the worst ones by far. So let's see some of his justification here.
Somebody else in charge. Senator, thank you very much for spending the time to have this conversation. It's good to be with you. So you've come...
I'm shocked he even did this interview, to be honest, given how unpopular this war is with the conservatives. You see Brendan Renner take her job off on IG. Once at 304, always at 304. I told you guys it was just a matter of time. I told you it was a matter of time until Brittany Renner would become a whore again. I told y'all niggas.
Not for regime change in Iran, as distinct just from taking out the nuclear sites. What does regime change look like in Iran? Somebody else in charge. How do you get there?
Look, that ultimately has to be a popular uprising from the people. And it's not a complicated...
And that's not going to happen, Ted, because I just explained this in detail with the reformists and the Conservative Party. Israel's attack against Iran united the people. There's not going to be an uprising from the fucking people. You and the Shah are fucking retarded alongside Netanyahu. I've spoken to several Iranians that live in Iran. The sentiment is the same universally. And I spoke to a bunch of people that don't like the theocracy, people that don't like the government. It's universal. Israel's attack against Iran has united the country against Israel. Big fucking backfire.
Question. Is America better off with a country that has a leader who hates us and wants to kill us, or to have a country with a leader who...
See, here's the thing. But why, Ted? Why do they hate us? They hate us because of our foreign policy. If we just stop the bad policy, we could come to diplomacy. And I think it's worth it. Why are we getting rid of diplomacy for Israel? They don't provide any fucking benefit to us.
Who likes us and wants to be friends with us. And
definitely the latter is better.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so that's...
And that's still achievable if we exercise real fucking diplomacy, not diplomacy that is pressured by the Israelis.
Not a complicated statement. Look, I believe you look across the world when you have countries that have dictators that are viciously anti-America. Venezuela, Maduro hates us. Would we be better off with Maduro out of power? Absolutely.
Yeah, because we imposed crippling fucking sanctions and destroyed their dollar. Bro, it's amazing to me how these politicians will tell you why countries hate us. Or sorry, they'll tell you that countries hate us, but they'll never tell you fucking why. And this is the problem with the Western media. This is what pisses me off. We will sit there and say, this country hates us, they're an enemy. Right? But they will never, ever fucking tell you why they hate us. Because if you actually found out why they hate us, you'd be like, okay, I can see why they don't like us. Maybe we should exercise some diplomacy. But they don't want to do that.
I want our enemies out of power, and I want our friends in power.
That I could not agree more. The question is, how do you get there?
Of course.
And we've been trying to kill Maduro for quite some time.
I don't want the Israelis in power. I don't want the Israelis in power whatsoever. That's bad. They're not our friends.
Some time.
This is a country that spied on us. This is a country that steals technology from us. This is a country that's put us in precarious geopolitical situations. I got a quick video to show you guys.
We have troops there. As you
I don't know that we've been trying to kill Maduro.
We have. And I think you know that. And
I don't know that.
Okay, well, as a statement of fact, we have. So
we do have massive sanctions. We tried to pressure him out of office.
Yeah,
I'm
there's all
not,
kinds
not
of
aware
stuff.
of
I'm just saying there's a lot of pressure coming from various parts of the U.S. government on that government, and it's still there.
Yeah.
Same, the country of our ancestors, Cuba, 1959, we've been working on that. Hasn't worked. So it's I think we both agree it's hard to do.
It absolutely is hard. And look, I think you're reasonable to ask, how do we produce that? And I think there's a distinction between what your objective is and the means to get it. There are all sorts of things I would say we would be better off. We'd be better off in China without Xi there. Should we invade China and topple Xi? Of course not.
Better off with no national debt.
There are lots of things.
Totally.
But it's good to say, all right, what are our objectives?
Right.
And so with the Ayatollah in Iran, saying you're for regime change, I don't view as complicated. I mean, the guy literally leads mobs chanting death to America.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not good.
Definitely not good. But the reason I think it's important to get a little more detailed about how that might happen is because there's military action in progress, which we're supporting. And the president has said clearly, including last night, that he is focused on eliminating the capacity of the Iranian government to produce nuclear weapons. You are saying we need to use military force to effect regime change.
I have not said that.
Oh, I must have.
No, I have not said that once. Okay. I don't think we need to use military force to do regime.
We do, actually. And that's where these guys are fucking stupid. We absolutely need boots on the ground to effect regime change. There's no other way that we'll be able to do it without boots on the ground. And here's the thing. They're being strategic, guys, and they're telling you that we don't need boots on the ground to affect regime change until it's time for the regime change. Then they're going to put the boots on the ground and say, sorry, we exhausted every other option. Don't fall for it. This is a ploy. It's a lie. We saw it with Iraq. We needed 200,000 to affect regime change in Iraq, and we still fucking struggled. This is a lie.
Regime change. I said I support it. I would like to see it happen. You asked me how should it happen? A popular uprising. What I've advocated.
And that's not happening, Ted. So how else are we going to do it? The popular uprising ain't fucking happening. The Iranians are stronger together now than ever before, and we fucking united them with Israel's stupidity. So how are you going to affect regime change if the people aren't going to fucking do it? You actually increased Iran's resolve, which is why they're pummeling at Israel right now as we speak.
For. All right, let's step back a second. You and I, we've known each other a long time. I would say we agree on about 80% of the things on Earth.
For sure.
And there are a lot of things, and we can get into the nitty-gritty of foreign policy as much as you want. There are a lot of things on which you and I agree, not just a little bit, but violently.
I totally agree. I was rooting for you in your last campaign, for sure.
Well, thank you. Look, you have been heroic on the border. You've been one of the clearest and best voices in the whole country on securing the border and on the absolute crisis we're facing. And in Texas, I see it and live it every day. In COVID, in fact, you may recall in the middle of the COVID lockdown, I was out walking my dog when the whole world was shut down and we were living in lunatic times. And I called you and said, Tucker, your nightly monologues are the single best thing on television. Like I watch them like an injection of crack. Okay, I'm mixing my metaphor because you don't inject crack, but you get what I'm saying.
Try.
No, I mean, you were.
All right, so let me show you guys something, right? When it comes to false flags in Israel, right? And how they ruin diplomacy. Because I know some of you guys, like, people say false flag all the time, but they don't show you guys proof. Let me guys show you proof of how ruthless Israel is. What I'm going to show you guys right now is going to shock you. It's going to piss you off. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. That's the goal. I'm going to warn y'all. What you guys are going to see, what I'm going to show you right now is going to piss you off. But I have a video here. It's from a good channel called Propaganda and Go. It's hilarious. They use that name. But it's a play. And I'm going to show you guys this clip. All right? And you guys are going to see how badly occupied the United States is. And it's actually from recent history, too. So let me go ahead and get this for you guys. The name of the video, and go check out this channel, man. They put out really good fucking content. Right here, Propaganda and Co. Which is hilarious that again, like I said, they use that name. But this is very important. All right? Viewer discretion is advised.
Now, given the nature of our content, we don't receive becoming a member of the scenes. Get back to the sub.
All right, pay attention, guys. I'm debating whether I should just let this play through without my commentary. I'll let you guys vote. Do you guys want me to give commentary or just let it play through? I'll let you guys pick. If you guys want me to give commentary, give me a 1. If you guys want me to kind of just let it play through so you guys can get the full, and then I give you the commentary after, give me a 2. If you guys want me to give commentary 2, no, it's not 22 minutes. We're only going to watch about 5 minutes of a chat. We're not going to watch the full 22 minutes. We're going to watch about 8 minutes or so. We're going to watch about 8 minutes. So, oh shit, I got to do a fucking poll. All right. Oh man, okay. Holy shit. All right. All right, well, okay, we know 75% of you guys are not in the OSS, so let's address that problem first. All right, 75% of you guys are not in the OSS. Guys, I hate to say this, but I got to get the membership up to justify being on YouTube. If you guys want me to keep streaming on YouTube, right? Because I should be streaming on only Kick and Rumble, because that's the only places that fucking pay me. YouTube doesn't pay me. I'm losing a lot of money streaming on fucking YouTube. Look, there's 5,400 of you guys right now that I could easily push to Rumble or to Kick, right? So I can actually get fucking paid for doing all this hard work. But I'm staying on YouTube for you guys because I know a lot of you guys prefer YouTube. That's fine. I don't even care about getting 100% of the money. I don't give a fuck. We just need at least 50% of you guys that are watching on YouTube to be on OSS. $4 to join. Join up right now. We're about 8 or 9 away from hitting 900. We want to hit 1,000. My goal is to have 10,000 strong by the end of the year. My goal is to have 10,000 strong. So if you guys rock with me, you guys love watching me on YouTube, you want to support, $4. That helps your OSS fees, and then it's $10 a month from there. That's how you support the mission and keep me going, because honestly, OSS Not Castle Club is completely separate. It's for this channel to debrief exclusively. It's for this channel exclusively, chat. So if you guys rock with me and you guys want me to keep streaming on YouTube for it to make sense, I want at least, if we can get like 50%, we'll be good. The link is at the top of the description, guys. So, let's see here. Yeah, $4 is cheap, bro. Here, I'll drop the link right here. I'll drop the link for you ninjas. Give me 1 sec. And again, like I said before, I don't want to be fucking pitching it all the time. The faster we get the membership up, the faster I can never promote this shit again, which I kind of want to get to. I want to get to a point where we hit our 10,000 as fast as possible, and I just stream. I don't got to worry about ever promoting it again. But it's a new program, guys, so that is why I'm promoting it so hard right now, because I fucking lose a lot of money on YouTube, bro. It's fucking retarded to be streaming on here, but I do it anyway. Okay, there's a link for you guys, specifically for the YouTube niggas. There's the link. Join in, niggas. Join in. Join OSS and then use the code ThemBoys911. Anyway, let's keep going. All right, like I said before, what you guys are gonna see is gonna piss you guys off. What do you get in OSS? You get in OSS, you get to call into the show starting next month when I'm gonna start doing call-in portions of the podcast. You get to be a part of the chat, the community. Every time I travel to a foreign city, I'm gonna let the people in the city know. I'm gonna put out an announcement, meet up with OSS guys. You get one annual meeting in Miami on 4/20 every single year. We're dropping merch next month. You get discounts for merch, and you also get merch, exclusive merch pieces that only for people. And then when I do my clan meetings, you can also join in as a member of the clan meetings and get a speaker mic whenever I have my clan meetings on X and shit like that, which I'm gonna start doing those once a month. So yeah, man, you join the community, join the squad of base people, and that's the best way to support the mission, man. So yeah, like I said before, it's the only way, keep just being blunt with you guys, it's the only way I could justify streaming on YouTube. Streaming on YouTube is absolutely fucking stupid. It's absolutely stupid for me to stream on YouTube, but if I get 50% of the viewership on there to support, fine, that's cool. I'll take a 50% hit. I'll take a 50% hit. Most other people wouldn't even do that. They'll just force y'all niggas to go to Rumble or Kick, and I know a lot of you guys don't like Rumble, a lot of you guys don't like Kick, but I'm gonna stay on YouTube for you guys because a lot of you guys like it. Look, I've built up a huge audience on YouTube. I should be moving them over to Rumble, but I'm not doing that. So, anyway. All right, let's get into it.
In the final days of the Bush administration, a highly sensitive intelligence report began its ascent through the U.S. intelligence chain of command. The report passed through the CIA Directorate of Operations, the National Clandestine Service, and the CIA Counterintelligence Center before finally reaching CIA Director.
Yes, chat, this channel is demonetized too. Yes, this channel is fucking demonetized as well. So, yeah. Someone said just move them over to YouTube, take them off YouTube, quit YouTube. I'm not going to do that, bro, because a lot of people like to watch on YouTube, so I'm not going to do that.
Director Michael Hayden. Recognizing its significance, the Director of National Intelligence was briefed on the findings and assessed the implications for U.S. national security. This report finally made its way to the White House, where President Bush was briefed on its contents. According to sources, Bush went absolutely ballistic after the briefing. In short, the CIA memos detailed how Israeli Mossad agents posed as American spies to recruit members of the terrorist organization Jundullah to fight their covert war against Iran. The Mossad agents carried U.S. passports, presented themselves as American operatives, and provided cash, weapons, and intelligence to a foreign-designated terror group known as Jundullah to carry out attacks against Iran. Now, for a supposed ally, this is treasonous behavior. But
now, this is a big deal, guys. So you got our ally posing as us to instigate a potential big fucking conflict. You know what the scary part is, guys? This isn't the 1950s or 1960s. This was relatively recently. This was in fucking the Bush era.
Before we continue, let's take a moment to quickly understand who Jundullah is. To do that, we need to learn about the Balochistan insurgency. And to do that, we need to learn about the Baloch people.
All right, guys, pay attention. This is very important stuff because this terrorist group that he's talking about is pretty obscure. Not many people know about him, so I'm glad that he's giving this explanation. But yeah, let's go.
No, it's like Inception, but to truly grasp what's going on here, we need to appreciate all the little details. The Baloch people are a distinct ethnic group with their own culture and language. There are about 15 million worldwide. The majority reside in the Balochistan region of Southwest Asia, which spans 3 modern countries: Iran, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Of the 15 million Baloch, 8 million live in Pakistan, 4 million in Iran, and 1 million in Afghanistan. As a minority group in these nations, there are some Baloch who desire independence. And among them, there are those who believe that armed insurgency is the path to independence. The insurgency in Balochistan, therefore, is an ongoing revolt by Baloch separatists and various Islamist militant groups against the governments of Pakistan and Iran. Jundullah was one such group. They were a relatively small group with only a few thousand fighters, made up primarily of anti-Shia Salafi jihadists. In 2010, the US State Department designated Jundullah as a foreign terrorist organization due to its numerous attacks on Irani civilians. According to the State Department, Jundullah uses a variety of terrorist tactics including suicide bombings, ambushes, kidnappings, and targeted assassinations. Notably, in October 2009, a Jundullah bombing killed more than 40 people and was the deadliest terrorist attack in Iran at the time since the 1980s. All of these attacks were significant, but the October 2009 suicide bombing was especially dangerous for US-Irani relations. Not only did it kill civilians, but it also claimed the lives of 5 high-ranking officers from Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. At the time, Iran was furious, blaming the United States, Britain.
And think of the IRGC, guys, that's kind of like their Marines and CIA in one. It's like a military/intelligence apparatus in the Iranian government. So that's a big deal.
In Pakistan for supporting the group. While all three denied the allegations, Iran insisted that Jundullah had foreign backing. But what Iran didn't know was that the foreign backers of Jundullah were actually Israeli. This information...
And people say I'd be capping when I tell you guys that Israelis run false flags all the time. Could you guys imagine how many false flags they're doing now that are classified that we don't know about? We know about this one because it was like 20 years ago and they finally declassified it. But look at this shit, bro. And obviously this is a very obscure and unknown terrorist group. But this is a big fucking deal, man.
Came from the former leader of Jundullah, Abdul Malik Rigi, who was captured by Iran shortly after the October 2009 attacks. In an interview aired by Irani Press TV, Rigi explained that Jundullah had met with a mysterious group in Casablanca who claimed to represent NATO. Rigi said that the group's true identity became suspicious to him as he reflected on the nature of their meetings. For example, he wondered why they hadn't just met in Afghanistan, where NATO already had a base and a much more secure line of communication with Jundullah.
So that was a big red flag that made them say, that's fucking weird. Are these guys really Americans? America runs NATO. Why aren't we just gonna fucking meet there and do this fucking shit? But then he starts connecting shit.
Another issue was the nature of the targets of the group suggested. They insisted that we transfer our operations from the eastern border region to the capital. We thought this was very strange. After thinking about it, we concluded that they were either Americans acting under NATO cover or Israelis.
Bam. See what these fucking guys are trying to do? See what they try to start here, chat? And the crazy part is nobody knows about this fucking false flag operation they tried. Nobody knows about it.
According to Rigi, the agents provided a list of names, addresses, and photos of people to assassinate in Tehran, along with equipment and explosives for these operations. They also promised very high sums of money for the overall project, as well as specific amounts for each assassination. When the interview first aired, many dismissed Rigi's claims, suggesting that he was merely under duress. However, the leaked CIA memos from the Bush era that Mark Perry reported on in 2012 confirmed that Mossad agents were actually impersonating CIA operatives and meeting with Jundullah. Okay, now
I think you guys understand the gravity of that. Posing as CIA operatives while actually being Israelis, paying and supporting a foreign terrorist organization to conduct an attack against your enemy, but placing the blame on one of your allies. Do you guys see now why I say we need to stop aid to Israel? Do you guys see now why I say that they're a parasitic state that create a lot of problems? Do you guys see now why I say they fucking start all the wars? Do you guys see now why I say we don't get any fucking benefits and we just get liabilities from these guys? This is just one operation that was declassified. You guys know how many other false flags Israel's done that are still classified that you guys don't fucking know about? I told you guys this video was going to piss y'all off. Let's carry on though.
Now let's take a moment to digest this information. Israeli Mossad agents were impersonating American intelligence operatives, meeting with a foreign designated terror organization to arm, fund, and train separatists so they could carry out destabilizing terror attacks on civilian populations and high-ranking officers, risking a potential escalation between either the US and Iran or the US, Pakistan, and Iran. This is treacherous, dangerous, reckless behavior by a supposed ally. Israel was essentially hoping that these false flags would be blamed on either the US or Pakistan or both, which could have instigated a war between them and Iran. Now let's briefly explore how destructive such a war would be. It would
See how crazy that is, chat? He said it perfectly. I don't really got to say much else. The fucking consequences of what could have happened is astronomical.
Obviously devastate the lives of millions of people in Iran, Pakistan, and the Middle East, including the American troops based in the region. This would be catastrophic enough. However, this would also affect the entire planet. Here's how.
To the world economy's most vulnerable choke point, a sea.
All right, they're going to talk about the Strait of Hormuz. I brought up this strait many times for you guys, but this is going to be a good visual representation of the Strait of Hormuz, and this is a very big strategic area that Iran uses. They would use or shut down in the warfare against the United States because it would be economic warfare.
Lane through which 1/5 or more of all the oil and natural gas has to pass to reach global markets.
Iran has made clear
20% of the world's oil, bro, comes through there.
That in the event of such a war, they would close the Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point where 20 million barrels of oil travels through on a daily basis. This would cut off 30% of global oil trade. If this oil was delayed, even for just a single day, it would send oil prices soaring. But what if it were delayed for 30 days? If worst came to worst and the Strait of Hormuz was closed for a month or more, then crude would likely spike to $350 a barrel. The world economy would crater. This price per barrel would send gas prices to $11 per gallon and produce long lines at the gas station. And that's if your gas station would even have gas. And it's important to remember, oil and gas isn't just for your car to get from point A to point B. It's how planes fly. Power stations give electricity, crops are extracted, food is produced, goods are moved by land and sea, and the list goes on and on. Everything would become at least 5 times more expensive at a time when people can barely make ends meet.
And not only that, but you guys know that Trump campaigned on, bringing down grocery prices, everything. That was one of the biggest things people were concerned with, the American public, when they voted. They voted for, lower costs at the gas pump, lower costs when it comes to food, lower costs on groceries in general, and daily expenses. So we're talking about that going astronomically high for Israel.
And this is just if oil were to be temporarily delayed. Just imagine if it were delayed for a prolonged period of time. Iran has made clear that a war between them and the US would force them to use their massive supply of suicide drones and ballistic missiles to target and destroy the oil and gas infrastructure of the Arabian Peninsula. Let's think about how catastrophic this would be. In 2019, the Houthis, the Yemeni group supported by Iran, attacked Abqaiq and Khorais oil plants. This one attack, using cheap drones, caused fires that forced the plant to close down for repairs. It took 2 whole days of round-the-clock firefighting to put them out. This small attack cut Saudi's daily oil production in half.
Are you guys starting to see the ramifications now? The economic ramifications? Because Iran could target all these oil fields and destroy them. And we're talking about not just the Strait of Hormuz. They can literally attack these fucking oil fields, and it's going to cost us a lot of money, chat. You guys think I'm just capping over here? Oh, yeah, Myron, you're just being a doomsdayer. You're talking about them attacking oil fields and shit like that. No, dude. They can literally attack these oil fields, and we're talking about prices skyrocketing within hours. The Houthis, a rebel militia out of Yemen. Niggas are broke. They got fucking shitty-ass rockets and cheap drones. Look how much damage they cost with just their shitty-ass cheap drones. What do you guys think is going to happen with cruise missiles and hypersonics? Are you guys starting to see what I'm talking about here now? Are you guys starting to see the fucking damage? Are you guys starting to see the big picture of what's going to happen with a greater conflict with Iran? You guys see this now? Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. They cannot stand up to us militarily. We will destroy them militarily. But they're going to make up for it and make us pay economically. We'll destroy them militarily, but they will make us pay for it economically, chat. That's the problem. All right? And this is what no one wants to talk about.
Amounting to a 5%.
Because you can't debate this. This isn't a, oh, let's debate Israel-Palestine. This isn't that. This is just fact. This is what will happen. This isn't my opinion on who deserves to be in Palestine. This isn't my opinion on, them boys having too much power in America. This isn't my opinion on foreign policy. This is what will happen. Just for some shitty drones from the Houthis. This is what they cost them. I'm going to go back because I want you guys to really understand the gravity of what the fuck's going to happen here in a greater conflict. So when they sit there and say, oh, we need regime change, when Ted Cruz is saying this stupid ass shit, I want you guys to see what's going to happen from Ted Cruz's stupid idea of regime change.
To target and destroy the oil and gas infrastructure. It's a war between if it were delayed for a prolonged period of time. Iran has made clear that a war between them and the US would force them to use their massive supply of suicide drones and ballistic missiles to target and destroy the oil and gas infrastructure of the Arabian Peninsula. Let's think about how catastrophic this would be. In 2019, the Houthis, the Yemeni group supported by Iran, attacked Abqaiq and Khorais oil plants. This one attack, using cheap drones, caused fires that forced the plant to close down for repairs. It took 2 whole days of round-the-clock firefighting to put them out. This small attack cut Saudi's daily oil production in half, amounting to a 5% hit on the global oil supply. And this was from an attack on just 2 oil facilities. There are at least 20 sites that Iran would strike, using far more destructive missiles that would take months, if not years, to repair. This would plummet the global oil supply and wreck the economy, which would produce economic, environmental, and socio-political upheavals. It would be complete chaos. And this is what Israel was trying to instigate when their Mossad agents pretended to be American intelligence officers funding, arming, and training Jundullah to attack Irani civilians and officials in Tehran in a false flag that could be blamed on the US. And to quote an intelligence official from Mark Perry's foreign policy expose in 2012, the Israelis didn't even give a damn, because apparently the Mossad wasn't trying very hard to hide.
And let me give you guys this video. This is a very well done video by Propaganda & Co. I'm going to give you guys the video. If you guys want to, subscribe to this channel, go show them some love. They put out pretty good content, man. And I'm glad that he's able to illustrate this and show you guys, because it's one thing for me to talk to you guys about what the ramifications of a conflict with Iran, but he's showing it, which is great, because a lot of people are visual learners.
These activities as they were meeting with Jundullah in London right under the nose of American and British intelligence. Now, why would that be? Well, it might have something to do with the power and weight of the Israel lobby, because even though President Bush went ballistic after this report, he ultimately decided to do nothing to prevent Israel from continuing its covert operations, despite internal calls to take action. One intelligence officer summed up the frustration many felt. A senior administration official vowed to take the gloves off with Israel, according to a US intelligence officer. But the United States did nothing, a result that the officer...
And we know why they did nothing, because you lose your job if you talk about Israel, just like the colonel from before. See the connection here, guys? You can't fucking fight these people. They control the government. You cannot criticize these people. You can't kick them out. You can't. They are too deep in. We are an occupied nation, chat. We are an occupied nation, man.
Attributed to political and bureaucratic inertia. Political and bureaucratic inertia is code for Zionist influence in the American political system. The US government's failure to take any decisive action against Israel, despite clear internal frustrations, demonstrates the influence of the Israeli lobby and how US policy often bends to Israel's agenda, even at the expense of American interests. Which raises important questions about the nature of the Israeli-American relationship. Because Israel is often described as America's #1 ally, and entity whose interests are naturally and completely merged with that of America's. But how can it be considered an alliance if you are teaming up with people who routinely undermine your own interests and then use their political inertia to prevent you from even complaining about it? And these aren't just questions that you and I may be asking. These are questions that the American intelligence community has been asking for years. According to Perry, these intelligence officers expressed concerns over the fact that Israel's operations were jeopardizing U.S. relationships with countries like Pakistan. One officer remarked that while the U.S. had cooperated with Israel in intelligence gathering, it was a step too far to be involved in the assassination of Irani officials. No matter what anyone thinks, we are not in the business of assassinating Irani officials or killing Irani civilians. This quote speaks directly to the tension with.
Yeah, I mean, we killed Soleimani and that didn't really, well, how the fuck did that help? That helped the Israelis, didn't really do nothing for us, it just hurt diplomacy.
Within the US government about Israel undermining the interests of its supposed ally. This operation was seen as dangerous and escalatory, moving the US further away from its stated goals. Another intelligence officer highlighted the ongoing tension within the Bush administration regarding Israel's operations with Jundullah. Israel's relationship with Jundullah continued to roil the Bush administration until the day it left office. Israel's activities jeopardized the administration's fragile relationship with Pakistan, which was coming under intense pressure from Iran to crack down on Jundullah. It also undermined US claims that it would never fight terror with terror, and invited attacks in kind on US personnel. So here we see the broader diplomatic consequences of Israel's actions, how they endangered US interests by further entangling them in covert activities that were deeply unpopular with regional allies like Pakistan, while also undermining the moral high ground the US had tried to maintain in its supposed fight against terrorism. A senior administration official expressed the frustration of those who saw Israel as jeopardizing American interests. It's easy to understand why Bush was so angry, a former intelligence officer said. After all, it's hard to engage with a foreign government if they're convinced you're killing their people. This line underscores.
Yep, and that is why diplomacy with us is cooked as well, because Israel sabotaged everything, bro. It's literally that simple.
The point that Israel's actions in targeting Irani personnel set off a dangerous chain reaction, leading to increased hostilities and further instability, which ultimately hurt US efforts to maintain relationships in the region. And just take a look at this quote summing up the concerns many felt about the dangers of Israel's approach. Israel regularly proposes conducting covert operations targeting Iranis, but is just as regularly shut.
And just so you guys know, they proposed this bullshit also when they were here not too long ago. Remember Netanyahu was here to talk about tariffs? Well, guess what? He came here also to put a proposition together where they would launch an assault on the Fordo base and as well as the other, the Fordo nuclear facility, and also doing a ground assault. So the Israelis always recommend wildly fucking dangerous operations to attack the Iranians. And they did it in March of this year, chat. Literally. That's why Mike Waltz got fucking canned. Because he was trying to support this crazy ass mission. It was even too much for the Trump administration.
Down. According to retired and current intelligence officers, they come into the room and spread out their plans, and we just shake our heads and we say to them, don't.
Because the Israelis don't give a fuck, chat. These guys are reckless. Bro, you know it's bad when the CIA is saying, yeah, that's a bad idea. Think about that. The CIA is the voice of reason. You know, that same CIA that kills US presidents? Yeah, that's CIA. They're the voice of reason. Could you imagine? Bruh.
Bomba even go there? The answer is no. This demonstrates the reluctance within the US military and intelligence community to be drawn into Israel's covert operations, which highlights the diverging interests of both nations when it comes to foreign policy. But just as importantly, it also demonstrates that when the US rejects Israeli plans for escalation, the Israelis will just go behind their back, cosplay as CIA agents, and arrange for these operations anyway. As the foreign policy article outlines, Israel's interests are increasingly at odds with the long-term stability and influence the US seeks to maintain in the region. After the disastrous Iraq and Afghanistan wars, which Israel aggressively lobbied for, the US decided to scale back their use of hard power to avoid further overextension of their military and the US dollar. This was essentially.
Yeah, not to mention it brings us zero fucking strategic value doing this shit.
Essentially the motivation behind the Obama nuclear deal with Iran.
Today, After 2 years of negotiations, the United States, together with our international partners, has achieved something that decades of animosity has not.
And this was a big fucking deal back then, man. And Trump ruined it. For the Israeli lobby.
Comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Obama didn't want the US getting dragged into another war in the Middle East over Iran's nuclear program. And he also didn't want Iran on the edge of attaining a weapon.
Rare W for Obama, man. Rare W for Obama.
So he decided to negotiate a deal with Iran that offered sanctions relief in exchange for scaling back their capabilities, with international observers keeping a watchful eye on their nuclear program. This was a win-win for both the US and Iran. There would be no more talk of war or nuclear weapons for the foreseeable future. But this wasn't in Israel's interests. They didn't want Iran strengthening their economy or maintaining their impressive ballistic missile program, which Iran wasn't required to scale back in the nuclear deal.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Obama went head-to-head in a
And obviously this was a big deal for them.
manner of speaking on the Iran nuclear deal, Obama defending it in a New York Times interview, Netanyahu slamming it on multiple U.S. news programs.
Not a single centrifuge is destroyed. Not a single nuclear facility is shut down, including the underground facilities that they built illicitly. Thousands of centrifuges will keep spinning, enriching uranium. That's a very bad deal.
Now we need to quickly discuss why Israel is so gung-ho when it comes to instigating a war with Iran. Simply put, for Israel to secure its supremacy in the region, they need Iran to be completely destroyed. It isn't enough for them to have their nuclear program scaled back. They need it wiped entirely, along with their entire ballistic missile program. So Israel either wants war, a CIA overthrow of the Iranian government, or a complete capitulation from Iran where they abandon both the nuclear and ballistic missile programs. So Israel lobbied heavily against the deal, attempting to stop President Obama from signing it in the first place, even though it was in America's interests. When Obama refused to accommodate Israel, Netanyahu used the power of the Israel lobby to turn Congress against him, even going so far as to fly to Washington, D.C. to address Congress in person.
Well, this is a bad deal. We're better off without it.
Where he pit Republicans against Democrats in a deal that was supposed to serve all of America's interests. And when that didn't work, they pressured Trump to tear it up instead.
The United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
This put Iran right back into their nuclear posture, a position that buys Israel more time to try and instigate a war between them and the US to their own gain and benefit. The unraveling of the nuclear deal, which Israel is 100% responsible for, demonstrates just how powerful and damaging their influence on US foreign policy is.
And guys, I talked to you guys about this before. One of the main people that fucking destroyed this nuclear deal is this fucking guy right here. Talked about this yesterday in detail, where Mike Pompeo, right? He was the guy who was the Secretary of State from 2018 to 2021. He was also a CIA director as well. But he was huge with getting, moving the American embassy to Israel to Jerusalem, and also for withdrawing from the nuclear deal. And this guy's a hardcore Zionist as well. And he was one of the guys that was in Trump's ear. Trump was a very close confidant of Trump, obviously. Also, the JFK files not being declassified, you could thank this fucking guy for them not being declassified, because in those JFK files, as we all know, what was in there? That Israel was involved in the assassination of John F. Kennedy, a former sitting U.S. president. So that is a big reason why your boy Mike Pompeo did not want those files out. So in other words, Pompeo has protected Israel's nuclear program while simultaneously trying to destroy Iran's nuclear program on the basis of national security. This is one of the main guys that was behind it.
And fast forward now, years later, Trump is back trying to renegotiate the same exact deal Obama already had 10 years ago. But this time, Iran isn't interested because...
All right. So let's go back to the Tucker Carlson interview. Now you guys have the background of, all these false flags that go down in the Middle East because of these niggas. Where are we at here? Okay, Ted Cruz interview.
Standing up and speaking like, what the hell are we doing, in a way that we desperately, desperately needed. And so whether it's securing the border, whether it's the insanity of COVID lockdowns and the vaccine mandates, whether it is the Second Amendment or the First Amendment, you and I agree on a ton of stuff. The 20% where we disagree, I do think is meaningful. And it's mostly in the foreign policy space. And what I would say, if you'll allow me to get a little theoretical, and then I'm happy to get specific.
Yes.
For a long time.
All right, guys. So, Fresh Fit After Hours is about to go live here in a second. All right. I'm going to end my stream here. We'll pick up tomorrow at 5 with this Ted Cruz thing. So Zerka and Organic are going to be on there with Fresh. All right. We'll pick up this interview tomorrow. I'll do a long stream tomorrow for you guys from 5 until whenever you guys want. Maybe we'll do a 12-hour stream. We'll do kind of a subathon. So you guys can go ahead and, bro, what the fuck is this guy's? Oh my God, man. All right. So yeah, we're gonna, you guys go ahead and go to After Hours. Let me go ahead and set this shit up real quick, ninjas. Don't forget to join OSS as well. Help the fucking army grow. I'm gonna sit this After Hours out, guys. Like I said before, I don't feel too good. And on top of that, you know, we already got Organic and Zerka and Fresh there. So it's gonna be funny, bro. It's gonna be entertaining. I'll be able to sit back and kind of watch the fucking craziness from the side, which is gonna be funny. Let me go ahead and set this up real fast. So yeah, ninjas, I want you guys to go over there. After Hours is gonna start very soon. Oh, hold on. And then on Rumble, if we can kind of get that thing going as well. And we'll finish this up tomorrow, guys. 5 p.m. tomorrow. We'll be back live. Go over right now. It's gonna be Organic and Zerka and Fresh. Gonna do After Hours. I'll be in the back watching and shit like that, but I'm gonna fucking try to recover, bro. And then tomorrow, I'll be live tomorrow with you guys 5. We're gonna do a longer stream. We're gonna cover foreign policy. We're gonna cover the conflict. We're gonna give you guys updates. We'll react to this interview between Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson. And it's just gonna be a good time, guys. We'll do like a full-on fucking subathon, and I'll even play some fucking Marvel Rivals with you guys at the end with Chris. So I got you guys tomorrow, right? Join the OSS. Link is below. Get in for $4. Go on over to Fresh Fit, man. It's gonna be a good time. Get some entertainment, guys, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow at 5 p.m. All right? They're starting After Hours here in a second, so I am gonna get off right now. And as you guys know, every single time, bro. It's the same people every single time, bro. Every single time, ninjas. Right here.
Every single time, every single crime.
All right, ninjas. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Zerka After Hours, Organic and Fresh. It's going to be a good time. Go check it out, man. It's going to be a good-ass time. Let's go ahead and start rating them. I'm rating them on YouTube, and then you guys can rate them on Rumble as well. Josie, do me a favor. Rate it over there. I'll drop the link for Rumble here in a second. And as you guys know, it's going to be a good damn time, man. It's going to be a goddamn good time. Very, very good fucking time for you ninjas. I'll drop the link for you. I'll drop the link for you ninjas right now.
If you want to be safe and don't want to get replaced, it's best you start being based, or you'll get erased. Every single time, every single crime, every single life, early life, every single hour, every single day, every single night.
All right, guys, go over there. Drop the link in the chat. Love you guys. I'm ending the stream right now. Back tomorrow at 5 p.m. We're going to cover more foreign policy. We're going to cover the war updates on there. We'll cover the Diddy trial as well tomorrow. We're going to be a very thorough episode tomorrow, man. We're going to go a long time. So I love you guys tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.